An entire server hunts one player, yet Dex answers them with an army made from the weakest monsters in Arcadia. Beginners, veterans, and organized guilds charge together, only to get erased by slimes that should have been harmless tutorial prey. Dex begins as a classless beginner trapped in a game character he cannot delete. The hidden bard of Anarchy class removes his levels, replacing normal growth with plausibility earned by killing other players. Every player death gives him 1 plausibility point, and those points can bend Arcadia's laws. After 1,025 kills, the slimes treat their accidental protector like family. Dex spends every point on them, raising ordinary tutorial slimes to level 15. Each slime kill returns more plausibility to him, turning his monster army into a self-feeding weapon. Then Satan evolves their resentment into a level 100 slime queen. Before long, Dex destroys the beginner village and claims permanent territory for the monsters everyone treated as disposable. Only days earlier, Dex entered Arcadia hoping rare item drops could pay for his expensive virtual reality capsule. His first beginner quest asked him to kill 1 slime, and his natural control made the supposedly difficult movement feel effortless. The next assignment demanded 100 books, a punishment most players escaped by skimming a few pages. Dex reads every volume and discovers a forgotten legend about darkness hidden beneath Edelin's lake. 10 days of relentless diving raise his skill to A rank and lead him to an ancient necklace. The system warns him repeatedly, but curiosity wins, and he activates the relic anyway. His role changes into Bard of Anarchy, his level system disappears, and the character becomes permanently bound to him. A forced assassination mission then orders him to kill beginners before 1 week expires. Dex tries deleting the character, but Arcadia refuses, leaving obedience as his only path forward. At the slime field, high-level bullies arrive first and threaten every beginner who refuses to leave. Dex cuts through the gang so quickly that the frightened beginners mistake him for a hero. Each dead bully raises his plausibility by 1, finally revealing how his impossible class grows. The rescued players thank him, unaware that his mission still needs more victims. Dex kills them too, turns toward every witness, and calmly warns that anyone watching will be next. That massacre gives Arcadia its most infamous beginner killer, while the slimes quietly remember who stopped their endless slaughter. Later that night, a player is running away from something. When Dex raises his sword, the player warns him that the game company will take action against him because he plans to report him. As usual, Dex gains plausibility from the kill. However, his killing spree is starting to annoy the players who have been killed since the death penalty restricts users from accessing the game for 24 hours. But now players are constantly complaining to the customer service center, claiming it's not their fault they're being killed by another player. By then, Dex has obtained 1,025 points, equal to his total kills over the sleepless nights. He decides to leave that question for later. Apparently, since he's killed so many beginners who came here to hunt them, he has indirectly saved the slimes, which raises his intimacy level with these creatures. Then, looking into the darkness, he sees dozens of torches moving toward him. But Dex just smiles and jumps off the cliff, baffling everyone. While many wonder about Dex's reason for killing other players, the same player sitting behind his computer screen informs the community that he was killed by Dex 2 days ago. Not to mention, Dex usually targets beginner hunting grounds, which means he can't be a high-level player. The next day, he gathers a crowd around him and begins the meeting after thanking everyone for coming. What they don't know is that an AI named Alice operates Arcadia. Right then, everyone gathered against Dex receives a new quest. As soon as the quest is given to every player, the scenario team that planned the quest in the Korea branch goes into panic. The main reason for their panic is that this isn't a normal quest. The chief is informed that the quest is related to main quest number Act 1, and their predictions were completely wrong. That's why it takes months for a scenario to spread across the player base and officially become a quest. But now seeing the quest activate within just 2 days, they can't dismiss it as a mere miscalculation. Then he's shocked to see the report showing that the player has over 1,000 kills. He grows nervous, realizing that the target of the event is him. Not only that, the post already has over 1,000 comments. Right then, he overhears two newbies approaching, chatting excitedly as they head toward the hunting ground to hunt some slimes. One of them spots a slime beside Dex and claims that it's their prey, warning him not to touch it. Without a word, Dex rushes toward them. Right then, a system warning pops up regarding the PK villain. But by everyone's attention shifts toward them because hunting a PK player means rewards. One of the newbies suddenly remembers why Dex's face looked familiar. Because he's the infamous PK player, but the people around them don't believe it. He receives a notification that due to saving the slime, his intimacy with the creature has reached its maximum level, earning him the title Slime Chum. He now understands that by killing newbies, he has indirectly been saving slimes. Right then, another notification appears that he has fulfilled the minimum plausibility requirement to form a partnership with the slime clan. He is confused when he sees the notification and quickly checks the slime stats. The system warns him that all his plausibility points will be permanently consumed if he proceeds with the transformation. Along with it, the basic stats of the entire slime clan begin to change. These once cute, harmless creatures now appear powerful. In Arcadia, this role belongs to the slimes. The channel has many videos with hundreds of views, but the one titled The Undefeatable Slime skyrockets to 1 million views. Then he turns his attention to a cute little slime, his target for the quest. But as soon as he attacks, the slime kills him instantly, earning him a 24-hour restriction penalty from the game. In reality, the slimes reaching level 15 is the direct result of the plausibility points Dex used on them. Normally, Arcadia gains about 10,000 new users daily, and now many of them are getting killed by the slimes. Watching all this, Dex observes that these slimes were supposed to be passive, only reacting when attacked, but now they are attacking proactively. He wonders if their nature changed because they leveled up, likely a result of plausibility. A green-haired player tries to push the slimes away, but one attacks him, killing him in a single blow. Every time a slime kills a beginner, Dex gains 1 point of plausibility. After 2 hours, with the slimes killing newbies nonstop, his points reach 3,924. Now greedy, he checks his quest and decides he wants to gather as many plausibility points as possible within the timeline. One of the subordinates nervously explains the situation, how the slimes have abnormally grown stronger and are now killing beginners, a phenomenon that continues even now. The subordinate replies that they haven't received any response, despite repeated attempts to contact them. The subordinate hesitantly replies that it's 10 times. They all realize that at this rate, a single attack from a slime can instantly kill a beginner. He opens the door where the capsules are kept and decides to enter the game himself, to see the situation firsthand. Studying his quest screen, he sees that he has over 9,000 kills with 2 days left until the deadline. Not to mention, adventurers over level 15 have come to hunt the slimes for points, and neither he nor the slimes have enough power to tackle them. Right then, his kill count reaches 10,000 points, which is a feat in itself. He also exceeds the mission reward range, triggering an interim reward. He wonders if the reward is a trap. From it, Dex claims his interim reward, which is a familiar. Satan comments on how impossible it is to summon him at full power. Dex expresses his obliviousness, explaining that all he did was claim his interim reward, and the entity came out as his familiar. Dex has no idea what toll Satan is enduring. He then transforms into a tiny version of himself and sits atop Dex's head, leaving Dex unsure whether he should feel honored. Then his system answers him, suggesting he use his plausibility power to bring out the familiar's power, along with a warning that the familiar is a devil. Elsewhere, the said devil is quite happy with the contract, which can boost his power and help him defeat the angels. Satan explains the power he has to change the world's laws, referring to plausibility. Satan even tries to lure him with rewards if he hands this power over. As soon as Dex sees the equipment, he notices it's a level 150 item, something not even the best US server player has, who is only at level 50. Satan expects this and asks for his demand. When Satan finds out he wants to upgrade slimes, he struggles to process someone would ask such a thing. At this moment, he gets a notification that a beginner quest has been lined up, the Slime's Wrath quest. With this, his timeline of a week resets and a boss monster is summoned, which is a queen slime at level 100. No matter their level, the slimes are still weak creatures. One of them wonders if it's an earthquake, but then they are shocked to see purple slimes hovering in the sky. One of them is terrified to see all the slimes going in one direction and merging with each other. Right then, all of them receive a notification informing them that slimes usually live peacefully. At this moment, they see the queen slime at level 100. Dex admits this, but he thinks the queen is getting out of control. When Dex asks how, Satan explains that he used their resentment toward humans for killing them and turned it into vengeance by sharing his plausibility. Satan declares that this is the power of plausibility. Elsewhere, the players create a barricade shield to defend against the slimes. For this purpose, they need to stop the slimes to save their habitat and destroy the guardian stone in the beginner village in order to complete the quest within 7 days. Then suddenly they sense some waves and look at the queen, and everyone believes they are done for. Satan slightly tries to lure him into destroying the guardian stone in order to take things into his hand, but Dex catches on immediately. After this, every slime killed earns Dex 1 plausibility point. Suddenly, Tahan slams his fist on the table and demands that they shut down the server because the appearance of a level 100 monster in a beginner village makes no sense. Tahan also insists that he will take a strong complaint to the main headquarters because they are abusing their power and leaving them in an unattended situation. He addresses his subordinates and asks them about the morals of their company. The subordinates don't understand. He finally reveals that this is the act of a single user. Some staff disagree, while others analyze the log files and confirm that the evidence matches. The village burns as players battle the Slime Queen. An old man fights slimes too, realizing the village will fall if players aren't close by. The player then receives a notification that he qualifies for the hidden class, Savior, and is asked to accept the role of the ancient hero. Most users are defeated by the slimes during these days, but Korean players don't sit back. After hearing about this powerful monster, many high-level players join the battle and the situation changes drastically. The players who kill 100 slimes earn the title Slime Slayer, which increases resistance to slimes by 30% and grants 40% extra damage against them. Satan is very pleased and praises him. The good part is that he earns more than 20,000 plausibility points, something impossible if he were collecting them one by one. He selects a cape from his inventory, and Satan becomes curious. The Slime Queen's appearance turns the beginner's village into a battlefield, and with only 10 minutes left of the 7-day limit, players remain optimistic. Dex stands on the Slime Queen's head, ready for battle. Many flee, despite the commander urging them to stay and use their skills, reminding them it's only a game until he senses the Queen's hand and is crushed. The player tells everyone they have 5 minutes left and must distract the Queen and keep her away from the Guardian's stone rather than defeat her. Raise their swords and encourage each other to hold on even if they die or deal weak damage. The Queen keeps attacking, trying to break through their defenses. She almost destroys the defensive wall with 7 seconds left. Elsewhere, the executive director stands before the CEO and repeats his request to stop the slime raid. Right then, the red-haired player sighs in relief, thinking it is finally over. The players receive a notification that they have failed the Wrath of Slime's quest, and that the beginner's village will be destroyed as a result. As soon as the players get the notification, they rush toward the Guardian Stone, thinking the slimes have broken in. It isn't a monster who destroyed it. After barking profanities at Dex, they rush toward him, intending to check his IDs so they can kill him. As a result of the failed quest, the beginner's village will be destroyed since the Slime Queen is going to explode. They cannot understand what is happening, whether the slimes are coming back to life. Even though that should be impossible, a notification informs the players that after their victory, the slimes have decided to eliminate the players because they now claim the beginner's village as their territory after their queen leaves them. The players receive another notification telling them that they are now in a level 80 hunting ground and should be careful. Dex, now merely a spectator, comments on how the prey becomes the predator. She continues saying that the Arcadia has decided to wipe out the village and place a dungeon in its place despite the quest being successful. Then she wants to know the public's opinion. Others worry that newbies will be killed by slimes on their first day. His thoughts drift to the Bard of Anarchy, then to his familiar Satan himself, and the human who had warned him. The worst that can happen is a temporary suspension from the game. Suddenly, his eyes lock onto a boy watching the Slime Quest video and spotting himself in it. His jaw drops when he sees the view count to million. The nerdy boy asks if he wants to watch it together. Dex immediately fills him in on everything that's happened in the beginner's village, making him realize this person seems to live just to talk about Arcadia. The CEO is checking the game updates. She struggles to process that the beginner's village has actually been destroyed. Besides, she wants to see the manager Gown's flustered face. The nerdy classmate, however, assumes from his face that he doesn't know anything about Arcadia and is enthusiastic to teach him all about it. He decides to play it diligently because Dex is clearly smart enough to figure out his identity. Later, Professor Tahan Kim starts the freshman orientation, but interrupts the event by announcing something important. He mentions Arcadia as the game that led this revolution. They concluded that the current curriculum can't keep up with the latest technology. He understands that students will need some time to adapt to the change, but stresses that it's necessary to avoid falling behind the world. John remarks that the professor mentioning Arcadia is quite cool and asked whether Dex has played it. He even promises to help him get a hang of the game if he's ever interested, which Dex confirms. Dex explains that he stayed awake for the slime raid and needs rest, which prompts a remark from Satan that this is exactly why he doesn't like contracting with mortals and their weakness. He gets a notification that the Slime Queen is thanking him personally, and that the entire slime race is grateful for him securing their territory. The system updates his title from Slime Chum to Slime Savior, and grants him the reward of a slime crown. A crown emerges from thin air and settles on his head, boosting his points by 2,413. He learns that the title boosts his stats and also makes slimes accept him as one of their own. One day he earns the title of Beginner Killer, and now he receives Slime Savior. Dex agrees, and they head off as the Slime Queen and the slimes happily bid them goodbye. The slime raid completely destroys the beginner village and the players panic and rush to find a new place to stay. Someone suggests joining a hunting party because news travels fast, and many players are already heading toward the barony. After hearing the name, the guard asks if he came from the destroyed village. Dex agrees, and the guard sighs for what happened there and mentions hearing strange rumors about wild slimes. The area Eteline wasn't meant for monsters at all and needed at least level 85 to survive. Dex continues calling him Satan, so he questions the reason for not calling his name Satan. Dex laughs a little and agrees. Satan then changes the topic and mentions Dex's plausibility points, and points out how much they have increased since their first encounter. He claims any item he gives could easily rule over the entire empire, and selling one would make Dex rich for life. Something about those plausibility points feels more powerful than any item. Dex replies that they first need to explore the area and find quests worth doing. Ahead, some miners sit around a table looking upset, and one miner complains about the Lord demanding more iron ore, calling it unfair. Dex overhears them and laughs softly when he realizes the barony has an actual lord ruling over it. A quest notification appears called the Miner's Woe. Satan questions why Dex accepted such a simple task, saying any player could do it. So many people have moved here that demand for blacksmiths shot up, but the mining quest everyone avoids hasn't changed. Satan admits he doesn't know, and Dex grins and explains that he will soon find out. Iron ore prices rose from 10 to 15 bronze in just a month. Elsewhere, Dex reaches the mine entrance deep in Map Pian's mountain range. Satan hesitates, unsure why they would spend plausibility points on something like this. It cost 8,000 plausibility points through their contract. Dex smiles at the sight and declares it's time to get rich. Nearby, a girl raises her hand and asks if anyone has 20 iron ores so she can finish the miner's repeatable quest. Her surprise is clear, as she thought it mattered, but he advises her to sell the ores instead. Both grumble that the world must be turning upside down, that the Lord needs to act before the manor system collapses. Each region holds different materials and specialties, and demand constantly shifts. A girl agrees as her companion admits he regrets changing jobs, especially now that iron prices have jumped from 10 bronzes to 17. One beside her admits he should have stayed a warrior. The other player explains that the mine is more than 2 hours away on foot, and mining itself is exhausting, so it's easier to let others mine while they focus on repairs and training. On the other side of the map, Dex swings his axe nonstop while the quest window updates every iron ore he collects. Yet he still feels spending plausibility points was right. He rejects it instantly, raising his voice as he points out that only level to 120 users can equip it, and the item feels like a scam that would ruin his fun. Satan tries to continue, but Dex cuts him off, reminding him that selling such a rare item would expose his identity. Satan then asks where he has been hiding, but when Dex questions him back, Satan only smiles secretly and promises to explain later. Satan asks what that means, and Dex simply smiles, saying the Lord will eventually have no choice but to notice him. Male exhales deeply and immediately asks what caused such chaos. The bigger issue is the lack of miners compared to the growing flood of new blacksmiths. She considers making mining mandatory, but Article 1281 of the Continental Acts forbids it. Before anyone answers, a subordinate bursts in and urgently calls her outside. Inside the ally, Dex finishes counting his earnings, 5 gold and 12 silver from 3 days of mining. Even after paying rent, installment payment, and tuition, he would still have money left. A notification appears showing her favorability rising, and he hides his smile and responds politely. Another notification appears, inquiring if he would accept the invitation. He estimates about 3 days, and her hand slams on the table, disbelief flashing in her eyes. A system notification pops up, assigning him the quest, the Baron's Crisis. The prompt asks if he accepts, and seeing the quest as a perfect opportunity, he agrees. Later that night at his laptop, he studies the Baron's request. The next morning, in classroom to 3 and middle school, two students talk while the teacher moves around the room. His friend presses and Hyun explains quickly, his voice sharp with frustration, that a stranger killed him immediately after entering. His friend laughs, sympathetic, but noting High-Tak reached Michaela's estate and changed to the merchant class. Hyun-Tak focuses on that switch, limited options, forcing him into a useless role, making solo gameplay impossible. Earn money with Arcadia uploaded by Dex. Dex demonstrates that beginners with frank mining gather 20 units per hour, earning little. Yongtak stares, realizing poor mining skills wasted everyone's time. Dex shows daily earnings that are 1 gold, 80 to silver coins, emphasizing how easy profit becomes, and Hyang Tac glows with excitement. The channel daily life of a destroyer spreads quickly, and the video hides Dex's overpowered items, making the results seem attainable. Miners flood the area, and Baron Male laughs with surprise and asks what magic he used. She struggles with the idea, but recognizes previous methods failed. He warns against early satisfaction, stressing advancement. He reflects that he only explained basic performance systems, yet she seems oblivious to economic logic. He tells her to ignore complaints, explaining buyers pay regardless. Suddenly, she offers him the treasurer position of her estate with excellent compensation. She asks what reward he wants, so he hands her a document. Thousands of years ago, during the legendary battle between angels and demons, two supreme beings clash on a storm-lashed battlefield. The monarch of chaos, Lord Satan, notices the spear in his opponent's hand, Muspelheim, a divine weapon, and accuses her of cowardice for relying on such an artifact. Their closeness to this place keeps dragging old memories to the surface, turning them vivid. He approaches Dex, who stands before a crowd, looking for mining partners and requesting people with heavily durable pickaxes. Satan interrupts, asking about the business contract sent to the Baron. Perfect spots yield only 10 iron or units per hour for ordinary players, and rare minerals appear only because he uses the Demon Cave Destroyer. He promises to explain the system properly afterward. Dex estimates 1 gold coin per entry, assuming most players won't return. Dex smiles, explaining how viewers from his bait video flock to the mines, chasing profit, and hand over the fee without hesitation. Satan finally understands how ruthless and clever this mortal really is, and feels a strange sense of partnership forming. Satan laughs, recalling his long search to find it. Convinced he can handle it, Dex hesitates but steps forward. But a notification appears telling that heavy seals block the door, denying the access, and he lacks the skills to remove the seal. He grows frustrated and demands a reason for bringing him here if he can't open it, urging him to stop delaying. He genuinely lacks the skills and argues the place is useless if they can't get inside. Dex asks whether he is referring to plausibility, the power that surpasses providence, capable of destroying the balance that maintains worlds, bending laws, and placing its wielder close to the level of a creator. Dex activates a small fragment of it, and light gathers in his hand. Dex learns that plausibility serves as essential energy for beings like Satan. Dex finally understands why Satan wanted this power so desperately, and why he alone can open the door. Touching it already triggered seal notifications, and Satan dismisses those as insignificant tricks. He instructs Dex to focus every bit of determination into the task. A system notification appears, confirming plausibility users to break the seal. He accepts, releasing his energy into the seal. The Holy and Demon War, the clash that once soaked Arcadia in blood, stays alive in memory even after thousands of years. One of those warnings activates now as the system reports an intruder stepping into the grand staircase of heaven on Map Pen. Inside the developer office, the staff gathers again, tired from the last crisis. Ta Hung Kang continues, explaining the contamination in a legendary quest 32 minutes ago. The staff scroll fast, and the executive director pauses, confused about why Map Pen appears inside Angel territory, when none of them even knew it existed. In ancient times, Map Pen is the grand staircase of heaven, the place where the first angel meets Arcadia. In simple terms, the entire zone functions as a hidden holy land. When he hesitates, he pushes again, and Tahan finally reveals it as the second holy and demon war. Satan swells with pride, mocks the angels, and reminds him about breaking their barrier. Dex approaches the massive stone box and wonders if treasure really sits inside. Next moment, a holy aura wraps around him, boosting his mana and vitality recovery. And a quest window appears, assigning a hidden relic for investigation. Reporting it to Lord Mail would guarantee a reward. Yet, after hearing Satan, he realizes this chance is far beyond ordinary quest. Dex weighs his options as trespassing feels like grab robbing. Yet revealing the site could create chaos across the land. Minutes later, both sit on the ground, exhausted, because the box refuses to move even a little. With no other option, the boy summons Demon Cave Destroyer. Then the system instantly declares the destruction of the hidden ancient relic. His celestial affinity collapses, and the system warns him to avoid holy beings from now on, and he earns the title of Relic Destroyer. Then he spots the skeleton lion inside and shoots Satan a sharp look, demanding to know how this counts as treasure, and why Satan didn't warn him he was smashing a grave. Satan points to the glowing necklace on the skeleton's chest as the true treasure, a holy object meant for the future saved by angels. The system identifies it as the glorious heavenly metal. Its holy aura explodes outward, flooding the chamber with blinding light. As special skills of the metal get activated, he gets Holy Prophet hitting class, and that move a massive sacred creature forms before Dex. The light so bright it feels like a miniature sun exploding in the air. Then another message appears urging him to contact customer support. The system confirms the item has been forcibly deactivated due to the contradiction. The guard eyes him carefully and questions why someone unfamiliar wants access to the mine. He remembers all the mining videos he watched in school, and none of them ever mentioned a certificate, and the system clearly changed without warning. Young asks about the price, and he reveals the monthly fee, which is 30 gold coins. The number hits him hard as 30 gold equals 1 gold per day, and 1 gold equals 1,000,001. The guard notices his distress and leans in and observes that Hung obviously lacks funds. He gestures toward a small hut to visit, calling it the counseling center. Mount Pien's tunnels once suffered from severe labor shortages. The green-haired woman watches the swarm with quiet satisfaction. People walk in on their own, but their debts trap them inside. He completes Baron Mail's quest and prepares to head to the castle for his reward. Dex replies aloud if Satan fully understands what they have done so far. Dex lists their actions one by one. Satan realizes Dex has been fully aware of this from the start. Understanding dawns slowly in Satan's mind as Dex summons his destroyer weapon and states that they need to erase all evidence. Power surges through the ruins and the entire underground area collapses in a controlled explosion. Nothing remains and no one will ever uncover what happened here. Later at the castle, Baron Mail greets Dex with much enthusiasm as she has been waiting for him. She challenges him to guess the number of people who signed the absurd prepayment contract. When he cannot give an estimate, she reveals the total with excitement. Dex deflects the question casually while recalling news stories about corrupt corporate practices. Mail, already dreaming of greater power, suggests squeezing even more profit from the workers. He quickly cuts off that dangerous train of thought and shifts the conversation toward his reward. Dex gets 120 gold and 23 silver coins as reward. A system notification appears, informing him that this partnership offer carries a significant trust level increase if accepted. Dex considers the offer carefully, aware of its potential benefits and hidden risks. Jack, the creator of this vast universe, once expressed deep gratitude to Jennifer. He greeted Alice warmly and noticed she seemed unusually busy. He asked what had drawn so much of her attention. The title had shifted into something unexpected. The moment the system shifts to the title Bard of Anarchy, Jack's focus sharpens. Both the Holy Prophet's item and the glorious heavenly metal are relics reserved for legendary figures from the Holy Demon War. Yet one player has secured both at once, an act that already fractures the core setting of Arcadia. Alice explains that the system cannot assign the Holy Prophet class to Dex now, because the contradiction prevents it, and she waits for Jack's judgment. He then decides to adjust the balance accordingly by revealing Michael. He reveals that his journey across the Empire has barely begun and promises to reconsider after he sees more of the world. The system confirms he has received his quest reward and the Lord's letter of recommendation. Questioning if a war is happening, she is surprised at his ignorance, explaining that the Empire is on the brink of collapse and the letter alone isn't enough. Ambitious factions led by Duke von Hern are scheming to place a puppet ruler on the throne, and may even start a war with neighboring nations for personal gain. Absorbing this, Dex recognizes the unexpected danger and decides that staying out of politics is the safest course. But a new system notification interrupts his thoughts. Its founders struggled constantly to survive between hostile powers. Yet winds of change now sweep across the land. He stares at the mission window in miserable disbelief as there is no option to decline. Then he agrees to handle what comes and her expression lights up with pride, convinced she chose correctly and trusting him. Dex is already reshaping Arcadia's fate, whether intentionally or not, and the world bends around his choices. His actions, though sometimes outrageous, follow the system's rules. And compared to the chaos he will cause in the future, everything so far is just a warm-up. Satan explains his understanding that getting involved in mortal politics always leads to heavy trouble, and his master usually avoids such things. Dex smiles and explains that involvement will help them earn more plausibility points eventually. A system notification suddenly appears as the previous error has been fully resolved. Dex watches as the energy compresses sharply, and wings formed from pure light take shape before him. The notification confirms the metal has successfully opened a gateway to the holy heavens. The holy aura reveals the identity of the celestial protector, Archangel Michael, the holy figure of glory. An argument breaks out between Satan and Michael, with Satan demanding to know why Michael keeps appearing and Michael questioning his own presence. Michael calls him mentally unstable and challenges him to a duel, which Satan eagerly accepts. Satan urges him to move aside for a real confrontation, taunting Michael for lacking full power without her original form. Michael turns her attention toward Dex and identifies him as the mortal bound to Satan's contract. He admits the contract exists but explains he never chose it willingly. Michael warns that plausibility becomes extremely dangerous when held by low-ranking beings like Satan. Yet, she urges him not to fall for the devil's manipulative pulls toward corruption. Michael demands to know what Satan finds amusing, and he confidently declares that as the Lord of Evil, she has never seen a mortal more wicked than Dex, sometimes even surpassing demons with his behavior. The idea of Michael guiding him toward righteousness feels almost absurd. She declares it her mission to draw that kindness out. Michael accuses him of planning to disturb the heavens again, and warns that she already sees through Satan's schemes and he refuses to tolerate the insults. Dex realizes the moment Michael arrives. The noise doubles, and he addresses Michael, who answers with polite readiness. Since plausibility was mentioned, he points out Satan never receives it for free, which makes him question what Michael intends to offer in exchange. Dex refuses the offer and asks instead whether she has any skills to give. The Bard of Anarchy title provides plausibility, yet the penalties destroy all normal perks. The only skills he possesses involve gathering, mining, and diving. She reveals a solution, and the system announces a new contract with an angel, forming the skill possession. Dex accepts the idea as long as he pays the correct plausibility amount. The brightness explodes outward, throwing Satan far into the distance. Options include Fawn the Glorious Knight, Merlin, the Grand Wizard of Truth, Farl, the legendary archer, Misfire the Faithful Swordsman. Another creature steps forward and agrees with the threat. Dex welcomes their timing as needed test subjects. An army of players who entered the game with dreams of jackpots now breaking rocks. Like exhausted laborers, Yongtak, Mount Pian's first slave, struggles with the reality of his situation. He wants nothing more than to leave this place forever. Freedom becomes the only thing he desires. Yongtak turns toward them, wanting an explanation, and he reveals that running away instantly breaks the contract with the Lord. The moment someone flees, the system marks them as a wanted criminal. Even fugitives eventually get dragged back here. A notification suddenly appears and his mining skill reaches rank 5. The system grants him the title Persistent Miner, and the Ancient Flame has taken interest in him. Far away, Dex activates possession and Fawn, the Glorious Knight, manifests beside him, wrapped in radiant power. His sword never dries from devil blood, and countless survivors once hid safely behind his shield. Dex quietly prefers another nickname. Stunned by the power, Fawn remarks that none of them will escape the underworld's embrace today, and his blade cuts the creature cleanly in two. His strength surges as the system grants partial access to Farron's combat skills. Dex beams at the overwhelming rush of power as possession works far better than he imagined. Satan demands an explanation for Fan's presence. His devil familiar reacts as if the question itself is ridiculous. The orc towering before him belonged to a field boss group. The strength flowing from Dex feels completely different. The system displays their level 25 and shows they possess significant power. The orc roars and raises its weapon, but Dex releases energy, forming a shimmering shield around him, ready to activate his unflinching will instantly. The divine shield shifts into battle mode as buffs flare to life. Dex raises his hand and fear spreads through the orcs as they shout warnings. The system begins calculating usage time, revealing that 350 to plausibility points were spent. A realization strikes her and she directs her thoughts toward her creator. She finally understands why she was sent here. Dex sighs with mild disappointment as he has expected a real battle this time. The greatest advantage is the skill erases problems created by level differences during battle. But each item demanded heavy plausibility, and every item vanished after one use, trapping him in unstable fights unless he carried every possible tool. He is notified that continuous use of this power forces plausibility cost to increase step by step. The true threat hides in the massive plausibility spent. However, he cannot measure how skilled he would become when controlled by different beings. She enjoys his serious expression as he evaluates flaws of the skill. The most impressive part remains how plausibility itself keeps this impossible situation functioning. She answers without certainty and pushes the question back toward him. Far from their camp, the Maroon Empire operates as the central hub of Arcadia's South Korean server. Countless goods pass through its territory, filling the empire with profits. And major enterprises choose Maroon as their base for the same reason. He understands Voyagers run this store, but the situation crosses every acceptable line. In that other place, Duke Von Hern addresses someone with commanding presence. Inside his mind, he recognizes that Duke Von Hern hides the nature of a villain NPC behind cold words. The Duke controls the entire military force of the South Korean server's main empire. and rumors circulate that he intends to overthrow the weakening king and claim the throne. The warning carried a final threat. GM Corporate now functions as one of Maroon Empire's core enterprises. But behind that front lies a massive community playing Arcadia online purely for profit. Duke von Heharn studies him again and reveals his interest in Voyagers. Ju seeks clarity, and the Duke explains that he intends to shift part of the Empire's military supply chains into GM Corporate's hands, expecting the company to operate quietly. After the Duke steps out, Jaguar's mind races with triumph. Smith reminds him that $8 billion already went into this project, and expecting more becomes unreasonable. Ju bursts in anger, questioning how such a small sum can stop them when success is guaranteed. Supplying Duke von Heharn with military goods could create extraordinary gains if the Duke conquers the Fquell Empire. The speaker is Count Borgen, ranked third in the royal hierarchy. Dex hands the letter to Borgen, who recognizes it's from Baron Mail. Before Dex completes his thought, Borgen tears the letter apart without opening it. He realizes Borgen wants words from his own mouth instead of anything written. In his view, she judged that Dex carries the ability required to help prevent the incoming war between empires. Dex questions whether Borgen truly believes he possesses such power. Borgen studies his steady expression and notes how Dex shows no shock after hearing about the war, which proves Mail already warned him beforehand. Most nobles remain passive under the Duke's shadow, and power keeps drifting toward a single center. Borgen agrees with these points. Borgen catches the meaning instantly and realizes Dex refers to killing the Duke. Dex's smile confirms this interpretation. Borgen admits he is considered killing as well. Yet, he questions whether Dex understands the scale of difficulty. Borgen stares at him, as if he missed every detail discussed so far. Borgen asks him not to take offense, but from outward appearance. Dex seems incapable of even reaching the Duke's collar, much less killing him. Dex responds with a confident smile. He declares a duel against Borgen himself. Dex wastes no time and activates possession and absolutely summons Carpulus, the Wandering Knight. A burst of powerful energy surrounds him, shifting the air and leaving Borgen momentarily speechless. Carpulus merges with him as the system grants temporary access to the possessor's strength. Borgen watches his opponent announce that he intends to finish everything within that short window, to avoid wasting plausibility. Dex admits inwardly that he planned to end the duel that move opening blow. Yet sword masters stand far above normal fighters. Borgen confirms without hesitation, and accepts that Dex did not exaggerate about handling the assassination personally. Borgen refuses and explains that he will now reveal his own power. He mentions that he obtained the Swordmaster title only recently. Dex tightens his grip and questions whether Borgen truly needs to escalate to this degree. Borgen rushes forward and releases a devastating attack that leaves Dex genuinely astonished. By its strength, a system prompt emerges for Dex, informing him that he just unleashed a restricted skill requiring level 150 or higher. Listing Invisible Blade and Aura Blade together, he reacts with irritation, disliking that he must pay even more. And he directs a mental complaint toward Michael. He surges upward with intensifying force while gathering energy around his entire body and driving his blade directly toward Borgen. Dex takes advantage at the moment and drives another strike forward, knocking Borgen's sword clean out of his grip. Another message follows, rewarding him for defeating an opponent with master-level ability. He is granted the title Miracle Duelist along with an additional power boost from Satan. She points out that he clearly enjoyed the battle more than he realizes. Dex admits that he handled weapons before in other situations. Internally, he recalls reaching top ranking in a rhythm blade game, which he decides counts as some form of experience. That impossibility leads him to assume Dex exists as some hidden monstrous genius. Borgen, still on one knee, asked with unfamiliar seriousness about the source that drives Dex's sword technique. The realization explodes inside him, and without warning, he begins practicing sword movements right on the spot. Dex admits he has no idea either. Borgen returns to their earlier topic, and seeks confirmation that assassination indeed offers the simplest solution, since the Duke stands behind every issue harming the Empire. He agrees that Dex holds the skill to carry out such a task if anyone can. When asked, Dex explains that the knot was an overly tangled problem that resisted every careful attempt to undo it. Clarity rises through him as he realizes that only someone like Dex can compress the Empire's entire crisis into such a simple explanation. A new notification appears for Dex, announcing that he has taken the first step toward becoming a hidden force behind major changes in the Maroon Empire. Dex reads through these messages with amused disbelief. The game throws a mission requiring the Duke's assassination as if it were a casual chore. Satan questions why she has issues with the plan, wondering if she intends to deliver a moral lecture like a stubborn mortal. Michael responds sharply that nothing feels more cowardly than assassination. Dex interprets LA's logic inside Arcadia's shifting world. She insists that at least 3 days must be granted to prepare for death, whether through duel or assassination. She fires back, refusing to accept words from a wicked devil. Dex explains that decisions require hearing both sides, because the Duke must have reasons driving his actions. From Dex's point of view, as someone not born in this empire, wars and shifting power bring opportunity rather than disaster. He states clearly that he will align himself with whoever offers the greatest reward, and asks whether anyone holds a problem with this stance. Dex reflects quietly that promises can always be dropped when more valuable rewards appear. This belief defines the way he approaches everything in this world. Senan Choi, CEO of GM Group, watches the broadcast with a sigh, cursing Dreamer under his breath while wondering how a Jin managed to build something so outrageous. 5 years ago, his company had competed evenly with others in the market. It changes global trends, pushes new industries forward, and leaves old giants like construction and automotive useless. Moments later, Ju bursts into the office, brimming with excitement, insisting he needs 8 billion known at once. The father snaps that 8 billion isn't pocket money and refuses to pour another fortune into that ridiculous Jin game. His father flips through them nervously and stops. When he reads the title Maroon Empire Colonization Plan, Ju assures him with complete confidence, explaining he already made contact with a powerful figure known as the Duke, and that everything moves according to plan. His father falls into deep thought before quietly announcing 50 billion known as the investment. They introduce him as Lord Leonard, a secret emissary from the Northern Harl Empire. Leonard explains that their empire has learned of the Duke's preparations for war, and wishes to offer support. The Duke reflects on the plains and expanse between mountain ranges bordering both empires, and a territory Harl naturally desires to secure. Leonard hopes the Duke honors his promise before departing. Alone again, the Duke lets his confidence settle. And ironically, that individual is only an 8-year-old child. A voice interrupts his thoughts, greeting him cheerfully. The Duke frowns with curiosity, and Yago explains that interim reports are essential for a transaction of this size. Duke laughs with genuine amusement, finding the idea simple yet brilliant. He requests clarification about the earlier promised reward. He claims overwhelming responsibilities and insists such matters can wait until after the war. The Duke dismisses him and returns to his tasks. He invested far too much to oppose the Duke directly. The amount still fell short of controlling the broader Arcadian grain circulation, forcing him to rely on futures contracts to seize the Fakewell Empire supply as well. For completing such monumental transactions, the promised compensation totals 10 million gold, equivalent to 1 trillion won. Ju breathes deeply while reminding himself that war will erupt. It is a calculated investment. Ju rushes toward Dex while shouting for him to stop. Yet he slips out of sight before Ju reaches him. That detail raises an alarming thought for him that an outsider, not an NPC, somehow entered the Duke's mansion. And if that person overheard anything, his entire plan might collapse. Inside the room, Duke Fonhern faces Dex with a sharp gaze. The Duke demands the purpose behind this meeting and warns that wasting his time would only damage Dex's own standing. A faint smile remains on the Duke's lips, but his eyes harden immediately as he requests an explanation. The Duke questions whether Dex expects him to trust such claims without evidence. Satan leans close to Dex and reminds him that Dex intended to kill the Duke earlier. The Duke focuses on him again, noting how unexpected it feels to hear that a man as upright as Borgen would consider killing. He answers, explaining that the Empire would benefit more from a wise and mature ruler than an unprepared child. The Duke blinks, caught off guard, while Dex continues, if anyone should lead the Empire, the Duke fits the role best. The Duke bursts into loud amusement and demands his name. After he steps outside, Michael admits she never imagined he would walk away so casually after planting false information. He simply intends to gather more plausibility through his actions. The war will erupt regardless of anyone's intervention. The spreading turmoil increases Dex's value, which means more opportunities for plausibility. Dex advises patience, and if the Duke gains the throne without resistance, no one remains to challenge him, removing future conflict entirely. Dex confirms it with a grin. Double warfare, after all, doubles plausibility. Satan calls him a monster for viewing war like a business plan. Loyalty to one side holds no value for someone who pursues gain above everything else. Jigu offers him a seat, while Dex points out sarcastically that how warm his welcome is. Dex asks why he has been brought here. Dex points out that he is not obliged to tell him anything. He is surrounded by 7 guards, and he still doesn't know Ju's identity because it's hidden. If things go south, he knows he will have to use his possession skill. His presence shifts the atmosphere, and he explains that they only want to know whether Dex has received any quest from the Duke. He threatens him, warning him not to interfere with their plans and even ordering him not to meet the Duke again. Ju leans forward and continues, promising that he will make Dex's life in this game a living hell. Then he turns to Dex and apologizes on Jagu's behalf, explaining that Yagu is tense because of his investment with the Duke. To everyone's shock, Dex immediately takes the money since all he has to do is abandon the quest given by the Duke. In the end, Ju also wants the war to start early, but Dex simply answers that this works out better for him. They might provide rations, weapons, or some kind of exclusive deal with the Duke. He can't stand the thought of Ju winning with his arrogant plan. Making up his mind, he suddenly announces that he will assassinate the Duke. Michael, however, is excited because Dex is keeping his promise to Count Borgin and wants to set the stage for a duel immediately. She immediately states that she won't help him with her possession skill if this is what he is planning. It robs someone of the chance to say goodbye to their loved ones and kills them when they are off guard. He addresses Dex and offers his own help instead. Dex immediately understands that Satan also has a possession-type skill, which he confirms with an evil grin. To acquire the power, he uses plausibility. Satan asks for his opinion, and Dex admits that the underworld really prizes additional utility-driven abilities, unlike heaven, which focuses purely on power. Satan explains that there is no particular reason except he assumed Dex would prefer heavenly power. He turns back to the screen and excitedly scrolls through the choices. He is known as someone who brought calamity to the entire continent, causing the downfall of one empire and 4 kingdoms. With the character's power, Dex looks at the guards on duty, who are reasonably built men. He nudges his companion and tells him to look toward Dex, wondering if he is even human. The power of Argimer awakens inside him, and Dex is already eagerly anticipating what he can do with it. That means they have to use all their power from the very beginning of the battle. If they fail here, this person could take over the entire Duke von Helharn's mansion. Watching them, Dex realizes the guards are truly as incredible as the rumors claimed. Render is adamant about going all out and unleashes his Holy Rift, Judgment Blade. As he fades away, Render manages to recognize the skill, which is one that only a necromancer could use. He can't risk every guard turning against him, especially because necromancers are at their weakest before summoning the undead. One is a low-level undead ghoul warrior, and the other is a mid-level death knight. As long as they have both, they can unleash as many undead as they want. Dex, with his necromancy power, completely disrupts the coordination of the remaining guards of the Duke. The guards are in a panic, unable to understand the source of the undead attacking them. One guard asks his companions to stop the undead and send for the Crusaders. And even if they were alive, they would be with the Duke right now. He immediately activates his power in order to use the guard's skills for himself. With clear enthusiasm, Dex immediately turns them into undead soldiers in his growing legion and prepares to assign them a special mission, bringing their Duke to him. Inside, the Duke wakes up from the commotion and immediately calls for his guards. Finally, the subordinate reveals that a lich has appeared in the mansion, which terrifies the Duke as well. The Duke, now trembling, weakly threatens him. Suddenly, he recognizes the blade held by one of the undead. Now trembling, the Duke realizes that the lich is really in the mansion. Dex smiles evilly and reveals that he wants the Duke's last breath, sending a chill down his spine. Dex explains that the Duke should have chosen his side wisely, because he doesn't care about the Duke's plan for a war to seize the throne. The Duke begs for mercy, but Dex orders his undead soldiers to finish him. His system confirms the Duke's death, which causes a significant disruption to the secret plan. Along that move, he receives a reward which will be calculated after he completes his sub-quest. He is quite excited to see his rewards as it's a whole different level compared to the slime incident. Then he asks Satan whether there is a separate time limit to use Lich Argimer. As long as he has plausibility, he can use it. That move, he has already made the Duke undead because he has his eyes on the places he will destroy. Pope Humming cannot sleep because of some unknown reason and prays that no life will be lost today. She reveals that she has foreseen something related to a tremendous force of darkness rising in the Arcadian continent. At that she reveals that the one who dies is Duke von Hern. Now, Dex is informed that the Duke's duchy has fallen. Its productivity decreased by 85% and its military strength declined by 98%. With this, the Duke's plan is thwarted, and he claims 14,000 plausibility. Not to mention, the Legion is quite powerful. He can use it efficiently and gain a huge profit of 60,000 plausibility. He then asks his devil familiar about the amount of plausibility he has consumed. Dex asks for a discount, complaining that the possession skill is too expensive. He must use plausibility to acquire power. Having no choice, Satan finally agrees to give him a 2,000 plausibility discount. He hands over 36,500 plausibility, and the system congratulates him for negotiating with the devil himself. He becomes the first person to trick a devil, earning him the title Satan's freeload trickster. He understands it's because he used the skill against Satan himself, who now complains about how Dex gets the better end of the deal. He vaguely reveals that he is going to finish something. He then goes to the official website of Arfondia, where the hottest news is the destruction of the Duchy Empire. There is also news about the necromancer who did it. People are also cursing the game developers for not doing anything. He already has experience dealing with people who abuse their power and engage in all kinds of bullying tactics. That is why he has planned everything carefully. There is footage of the Duke dealing with Ju, discussing the profit they will gain if a war breaks out. Then Ju appears in another video, excited about dominating not only the Maroon Empire, but the entire continent with the Duke's cooperation. Finally, Dex finishes editing the video and feels satisfied with the result. After a while, his video has millions of views with thousands of comments swarming in. Everyone is calling Ju an abuser of power and all sorts of names. Smith also looks over his shoulder and watches the video. He is determined to find whoever is behind the video leak, even if he has to stake everything. The news is also circulating in the media stating that the GM Group is accused of hoarding within a game's economic system. Not only that, and Electronics reveals that the GM Group has invested a significant amount in gold, which might have reached 1 trillion won. The executive director warns her, asking if she is sure about making this incident public. She confirms it because it can set an example for other companies who are eyeing Arcadia. But GM Group will suffer more if they prolong this issue, and GM Group is smart enough to know it. However, the CEO is not concerned about the GM Group, but about the boy who uploaded the video because all the important incidents are caused by him. Dex tries to downplay the incident by saying it's just a game. His friend refuses to accept that, explaining that the game's economic scale is so huge that even major corporations want to get involved. So, Arcadia is not just a game, but a world of its own. Right then, their instructor greets them, and Dex immediately notices that he is not their usual professor. He reveals that he was also a student at this university. Right then, the Holy Knight steps forward with his army. Not only that, he struggles to process the horrible timing as these people arrive when Dex Yang is not here. The Holy Knight stands before the Undead Legion and immediately unleashes his holy light on them. He declares the end of the investigation, stating that the Undead are mid or higher level. Right then, they receive a notification that a new Lich has appeared, one stronger than ever. In the real world, Kang starts his lecture. So the signaling system between the brain and the machine varies from player to player, creating deviations. Now Kang decides to demonstrate and asks for a volunteer to come forward, promising a great experience. Then that person introduces himself as Chu and calls him a loser's friend, which darkens Dex's expression. While Chu is busy taking instructions from Kang, Kang explains that the capsule measures sync rate. Now Chu is inside the capsule. Previously, Kang measured the highest known number as 26%. Chu becomes overconfident and points at Dex, insisting he should come for evaluation. The measurement starts, and the sync rate begins climbing until it reaches 45%. Then the final result appears, 90.89%, which shocks even Chu. Later, he eats his lunch while reading an article about Ju on his knees making an apology, which feels satisfying to watch. He has now earned Elevink from viewers all around the world. He reveals his rating 15% and talks about how everyone is talking about him. Right then, Dex reveals that he already plays it. He doesn't know the exact reason, but he finally tells his friend that he has been playing the game since open beta, and reveals his identity as Dex to him. Dex understands since he doesn't have any proof, but suddenly his friend remembers the rating he gets and finally believes that he can be Dex. Elsewhere inside the game at the Valley of the Icy Heart, a recommended level 85 challenge is going on. As if summoned, the Necromancer appears and immediately activates the Dark Swarm spell. She has the ID of Black Flame Dragon and is level 86. They also praise her skills and apologize for not acknowledging her strength earlier. Their blonde leader hesitantly points out that if she used all her skills in the recent fight, she must need time to recharge for another spree. Then she summons the giant golems and gets ready for the next battle. After a while, they finally complete the quest and the girl thanks them. A quest is waiting for her about ominous rumors from the Maroon Empire. The quest explains a Duke's murder, and she needs to verify the truth behind these rumors, as well as reveal Dex's identity as the Black Mage behind the calamity. She doesn't think a single user can do it. The Link quest is a witch hunt that has been initiated, and she is selected as the #1 Black Mage for this quest. She is confused to see this strange quest. Satan is angry at the Holy Empire for purifying his undead legion, while Michael defends their actions. Unexpectedly, Michael also agrees, adding that Lich Gamer is someone who brings terror to their world, and that they shouldn't be proud to use such vile power. This is the reason he keeps the undead alive with his plausibility. Now it is time for the announcement of the resurrection of Lich Gamer, which will cause the good heroes to gather against him. He addresses his Holy Knight Lieutenant Jodl and orders him to fight all evil on the continent, on behalf of the Holy Saint Empire. There are two teams. Team Saint, who needs to eliminate 50 million members from Team Evil, while she is part of the Team of Evil. Basically, in the game of Arcadia, the main occupation during the Holy and Demon War is divided between Team Saint and Team Evil. Now players from both sides start to fight in the common areas as well. The situation changes with the current quest in which the Pope issues an order to punish all of the evil. She decides to stay in the village for a while, but when she steps forward, she receives a warning. That move. He gains a number of boosted stats and the promise of a reward when the quest is completed. Driven by the greed for rewards, he looks back and sees the Black Mage girl, who is truly terrified and wants to talk it through. Now she has no choice but to use her Dark Swarm spell against him, killing a guard of the village. The guards chase her, and her system warns her that she will face a higher death penalty this time. All players become hostile toward her, and even call her vicious because of her occupation. Seeing her running, the good side immediately decides to chase her. Elsewhere at Von Arn Duchy, Dix also receives a notification of a quest. Dix innocently declares that he doesn't want to mess things up and is just doing what the quest asks him to do. He reminds her that as an angel, it is her job to prevent bloodshed and war. Dex also receives the notification about Pope's act in which they claim to pass judgment on evil, no matter the sacrifice, and bring the justice of God. If this continues, he won't let him wield his power. The reaction to his actions is excessive, so he needs to intervene to stop the war. He points to the screen, showing that the Saint's side needs to eliminate 50 million evil forces, and asks her to drop the number to 0. When he mentions that she will gain plausibility, she immediately agrees, adding that it is her duty to intervene. Both boys know she is doing it for plausibility, but Dex pays 1,500 for her service. Elsewhere, the witch hunt quest has been modified. Right then, Michael returns happy and relieved to see how the Saint's side has listened to her quest, as she always speaks the truth as an angel. That's why she didn't ask for more plausibility. They argue, and through it all, Dix thinks about how they design angels in this game. Even after spending 1,500 plausibility, he already has another plan. She is huffing with exhaustion, having already spent all of her MP. Now she can only use her skills twice more. One of the players urges everyone, pointing out the great reward they will get after killing the top-ranked Black Mage. Another adds that whatever they receive, they should share it equally. Studying them, the Saint's side tries to guess who Satan might be. The remaining players are taken aback, astonished by the skill required to command such a powerful creature as a secret weapon. They believe Satan might be her familiar, but they don't realize a familiar can be this powerful. Right then, her system informs her that she has encountered the most ancient darkness, which leads her to the critical points of the witch hunt quest. Now she can change the quest, but her system warns her to choose carefully. Satan is determined to finish them quickly in order to use his minimum plausibility. Satan is again annoyed at being called a familiar, and in seconds later easily shields her from their attacks. The Saint side struggles to process all of their attacks are nullified, and begins to wonder about Satan's true identity. Everyone is shocked that they can't use their holy power. Satan is confused, wondering whether she really knows him. She answers that every Black Mage knows him as Satan and claims to be his biggest fan. She admits that she is, but her level is nowhere near his. She apologizes, but he brushes off her apology, saying he needs her assistance and wants her to work with him. Lich Gamer is the Black Mage who sold his soul to the devil in order to gain immortality. As punishment for interfering with the world's plausibility, he is shackled there. Seconds later, he is addressed by Satan in his true form. Satan comes straight to the point and asks him to work with him. Annoyed, Satan punishes him, while declaring that he has spent a large amount of plausibility to bring him back and cannot afford for him to create another turmoil in the ongoing war. Then Satan tells him his plan, explaining that he will perform it to stop the war by possessing the mortal body, putting it on a show, and returning safely to the underworld. Not directly by Satan, but by Dex, who is more of a devil than Satan himself. Satan now in present places the Black Flame Dragon into Dark Seal. That move, he leaves everything in her hands. That move, her class changes to a hidden class, Maestro of Death. Team Evil needs to eliminate the Pope of the Saint Empire and conquer the Maroon Empire. Seeing the new tasks of killing the Pope and taking an empire, Satan thinks about how Dex has truly messed up. Her skills have been adjusted according to the power of Lich Argam. She hopes this will give her a chance to become truly #1 in the South Korean server. Her thoughts are interrupted by Satan, who warns her to respond faster. He gives her a script that she needs to recite. He is now studying the feeds on the internet regarding the new quest. Dex is quite excited to see the chaos. Not to mention they can now gain reward or earn a good amount of profit, as he sees how some Team Saint users get rewarded by the church for completing missions. He suspects that things will get even messier. Satan is already working on his plan, making the Black Mage a scapegoat. Dex stakes all of his plausibility on this plan. She conveys how many Team Evil players are being targeted and killed, including herself. She instructs anyone willing to join to gather in the Maroon Empire. Next moment, Dex lifts a hand in a relaxed greeting from behind her, mentioning he stopped by only to deliver greetings, all while standing on one of the undead's head. Outside the estate, the guards remain frozen, staring at the silent skeletal army. He reminds her of the war spreading among Voyagers, explaining that the undead army came specifically to guard her territory. She realizes the truth that Dex actually defeated Duke von Hern. Mael raises her voice, insisting he handle the corrupt monster who drained life from the entire empire. Von Hern's wealth alone could feed the empire for generations, and he even plotted rebellion. Results do, and from those results, he now stands as a hero to the empire. At Arcadia's South Korean headquarters, mainly inside the capsule focuses on mana and the chaos caused by the witch hunt quest. They lack the right to stop it, and Arcadia's nature embraces complete freedom. Cover-ups are impossible, but damage control remains doable. Alice confirms her authority as a level 2 manager and completes the system change. Team Evil, no longer fearing death penalty, charges into quest aggressively and resurrects without hesitation. They form tight support squads and, though fewer in number, fight with sharp coordination. For 24 hours, battles rage across the Maroon Empire, turning everything into a festival of blood. So earn the title Architect of Darkness. The removed death penalty pushed the violence higher. Satan suddenly screams in frustration over his empty plausibility. Dex reminds him that he agreed to this arrangement. Dex replies that he isn't the only one spending plausibility. She advises him to ignore him, claiming devils never keep promises. Michael agrees without hesitation, ruining the Lich is worth any cost. Then he checks the status window, and his face twists in shock as he recognizes the Holy Blade that once defeated Arjamemmer. Next moment, possession activates and a Holy Spirit has entered into his body. Michael only laughs, proud she invested properly, unlike certain stingy devils, so she is prepared. So Dex with his 63,921 points to put them to good use, and create a new incident. His thoughts settle clearly that he belongs to neither good nor evil. Inside the capital fortress of the Maroon Empire, frantic subordinates inform the young emperor that the Army of Darkness now stands outside the gates. One advisor urges him to flee at once, insisting that escaping to the Saint Empire will keep him alive until they find a way to reclaim the capital. He doubts his father would forgive such a cowardly retreat. Fighting alongside those warriors could turn the tide. Countless undead are marching under the command of the Queen of Darkness herself. The Queen of Darkness watches the situation unfold and admits internally that things turn far worse than she expected. A heavy aura erupts from her as the undead army forms a wall before the trembling guards. She begins chaining her skills. Argam marvels that his contractor has drawn out his power to its absolute peak. The guards tremble as the undead swarm forward in impossible numbers. Under the moonlight, the fortress doors crack open as she enters the empty halls. The guards who died at the gate deserved a better ruler. A notification informs that she has ascended the throne of the Maroon Empire, and the system recognizes her as the rightful ruler. She gains the title of Master of the Golden Throne. She already considers where to begin, whether to search the treasure vault, gather hidden wealth, collect taxes, and move on to the next empire. Dex stands behind her with possession still active after cutting through multiple undead. On his way inside, she demands to know about his identity. She has never seen him in any rankings. She used enormous power, shattered the balance of the continent, and even conquered an empire. On top of that, she gained a hidden class. She demands to know how he even knows about her hidden class. Right then, Argamer stares at the blade in Dex's hand, dread spreading across his face as he recognizes the holy force inside it. Dex turns toward her, mocks her, and declares the moment has arrived to break her spell entirely. She responds with fury, reminding him of her top rank and her position as the chosen one personally selected by Lord Satan. A massive magical sphere brightens the entire area around her. He understands immediately that the heavens involve themselves in this battle, and finally grasps the meaning behind Satan's warning. Dex activates Adlin's footsteps and launches himself forward, rising high into the air with a sudden burst that leaves her stunned. Undead soldiers flood the entire area until he stands surrounded by the dead. He pulls out his blade as the system announces the activation of the Blade of Annihilation. The tip points toward a high-level undead creature as cracks spread across its body. He identifies it loosely as some sort of holy blade and admits that he does not know much about it. Dex explains that the lender kills devils, and whenever a chance appears to torment any devil. Some even question whether they are still playing the same game. After witnessing such impossible displays, she lifts her hand and activates High Demon Summon. Next moments she is informed that the Death Knight familiar enters eternal rest and cannot be summoned again. She summons skeleton warriors in response. The Exorcist's power reacts to every summon. The system confirms resummoning is impossible. Dex strikes with 2 crossing slashes. She falls and questions why he continues when the witch hunt quest already ended, and nothing remains for him to gain. The quest needed to conclude with Team Evil's victory. He reminds her that both teams benefit from her end and points his blade toward her. System notifications rush in as little effect and judgment time combine. That move, Dex earns the title of Noble Judge. He remarks that she should not feel to wrong since he already explained the plan earlier. She coughs weakly and wonders how she lost, but admits the experience was strangely enjoyable. He studies the notification, curious about how the system will resolve such contradictions inside Arcadia. The system shows a 94% versus 50% victory rate with Team Saint ahead. Races through countless simulations and locks onto optimal scenario. For the first time, the system reaches an impossible conclusion. The match ends in a draw between Team Saint and Team Evil. A user spots an extra hitting contribution reward past the regular boost. That move, the excitement ripples across the community. The system blocks all surrounding nations from declaring war for 1 year, stabilizing this new headquarters for Team Evil. Now the Witch Hunt Link quest shuts down. Elsewhere, the Holy Pope observes the shift and remarks that true unrest reawakens. One user questions whether a draw even counts, but the system confirms it with certainty, leaving players uneasy. Someone wonders who obtained the Bard of Anarchy class. Dex receives a notice. Balance adjusts and he is granted the title Neutral Seeker, along with 210,000 plausibility points. That move, mission to completes, and a special reward appears, born from his hidden Bard of Anarchy class. The system grants him the ability to bestow plausibility on non-living objects and transform them entirely. The description reveals no cost details and feels rough and unfinished. Dex clarifies that it's an experiment. Violent light burst from the blade, startling everyone. The system scans the item, notes its long battle history, labels of the first plausibility subject, and sets the cost at 9,000 plausibility points. The blade reshapes, the system rewrites its nature, and it becomes Bloodsucker. The unique rank weapon retains its rusty appearance, disappointing him slightly. He reminds them rewards don't come from simply watching him. A wonder ability blade now rivals level 70 rare gear. He imagines the uproar if it hits the market. Dex tests another weapon, the Demon Cave Destroyer, but the system fails to detect historical impact, halting the grant. Satan points out Bloodsucker still looks like a normal rusty blade despite the swirling red aura. Dex reminds him that he has far better items. He offers an exchange gold for plausibility with a discount. Muwo earnings and his contract with Mail will provide plenty of money. Bloodsucker is the world's only unique rank weapon with absurd stats and wonder ability. He wants to see how the world reacts when it hits the auction. The first lecture drags on endlessly as Dex quietly swears that next semester, he will never choose a morning class again. He even wants to know if Dex unlocks some secret production class to get his hand on such unique item. He keeps the details foggy and simply says determination can lead to such results. He begs for more information, promises silence, and reminds Dex that he has already protected his identity until now. Yang begs for cash, loans, credit, anything, pushing the price to 3,000 gold. The price goes up to 5,231 gold. 1 gold equals 1,000,001, and the numbers look surreal. At headquarters, a coordinator asks Chief Executive whether unique items even exist in their database. He lists the official ranks: Standard, Magic, Special, Rare, Unique, Epic, Legendary, Mythic, and points out that only up to rare items have reached the auction before. They permanently suspend the auction and remove the item altogether. One player spots the seller's name and freezes, wondering if this is the same legendary Dex they know. The informed player explains that Dex was a legendary strategist in the Veil, someone who moved professional gamers like chess pieces. Some call him a genius. After that, everyone knows that Dex is also playing Arcadia. At Arcadia's South Korean headquarters, the chief executive reviews surveillance footage. He doubts any other user could produce this level of skill. Elsewhere, Dex receives the bidding freeze notification and vents to customer service. He expected interference eventually, but not this early. He reminds him of the immense plausibility cost and calls the move blatant robbery. He offers every possible support, even at a discount. His plausibility reservoir seems endless. The incident proves the company sees him as a threat, but still cannot identify him. Listing a plausibility-made item revealed his nickname, so management must have connected the dots. He begins to suspect his Bard of Anarchy hidden class block system interference. He marvels at whoever designed such a powerful class and wonders how far its limits go. At headquarters, the chief executive looks exhausted, dragging himself around with dark circles while employees whisper. He is then in front of CEO. He then demands a decision from her. They don't foresee every crisis, but they cannot sit by while Dex keeps destabilizing the system. She reminds him of their earlier preparations and asks if he remembers the main event they planned. A worldwide announcement introducing the tournament spreads across Arcadia, which is called as the Bamboozle Tournament. The Dark Flame Dragon becomes the first black mage reaching the throne, leaving the entire community wondering. Users slip past level 100 in large numbers, while international servers push advancement even faster. For example, plausibility still offers access to powerful skills, and item purchases remain available whenever he needs them. He is glad to finally spend some plausibility for upcoming tournament. Others joke that Arfandia is heading toward a revolution. Dex analyzes his screen as he can see abilities, items, and skills remain usable during battle. Besides, damage scales with vitality alone, creating a battlefield where any player, regardless of level, might claim first place. The final survivor can pick any item from the inventories of all defeated players. Then he loads PUBG Warground and connects to channel 17-2. Two players chat about Dex entering Warground recently. Dex's combat control dominates Battle Royale games so thoroughly that even reaching 30th place in 100-player match becomes a badge of honor. The second player calls him the god of war in PvP and a true monster. He doesn't expect a simple warm-up exercises grew into widespread chaos. Virtual reality pushes innovation beyond anything seen before. Even travel companies might collapse if this continues. Jumping dimensions without warning crosses lines in his view, though Dex brushes it off since they managed to follow anyway. Satan demands an explanation about their current location and the method used to arrive here. She asks directly about hidden classes and reveals that she already discovered something. She guesses they must be linked to conjuring or spirit-type skills. Cheers suddenly rise as people recognize the girl who is Witch of Stardust, ranked second in the rankings. Attention shifts to the Dex beside her since no one knows him. She introduces herself as Stella, the Witch of Stardust, a hidden class mage and Arfandia's top magic user. He already heard her name as her fame spreads across Arfandia, making her one of the most admired players on the server. Stella handles the attention with ease while managing the crowd one person at a time. She plans to watch his performance during the competition. Far away, Satan questions the identity of her. Another encounter becomes inevitable once the tournament begins. Now being noticed by a ranker even before entering the match already disrupts his plans. She announces the beginning of the first round of the Bamboozle Tournament. It radiates pure quality, and direct hits guarantee instant death regardless of a player's level, defense, or resistance. As the event finally begins, the host announces the start of the No Bamboozle battle while clearing the arena of every unnecessary element. A surge of bamboo-infused power rises into the sky and draws every participant's gaze, as glowing pots of gold appear that shakes the entire crowd. Angelina shares the confusion while Dex studies the collapsing terrain with sharp focus. Before everyone plunges downward into the darkness, the environment instantly into a pitch-black night, and the map reshapes into a dense forest. The goblin host examines the data and freezes when the count reaches 3.9 million participants. The host delivers the ruthless command, reduce that number to 1,000. The goblin watches with surprise as chaos erupts instantly across the battlefield. The attacker celebrates the kill, boasting that a rank 23 player just defeated rank 19 player. The goblin mutters that most participants behave like hopeless fools, who never attempt reaching high ranks. Dex grips his spear and observes the madness around him. A user swings at him, forcing Dex to step back and avoid the blow. Dex releases a weary breath and looks upward. Dex wonders whether he can use the possession skill inside this map. Dex requests the same figure he chose last time. The possession skill does not simply summon figures. This dark familiar ignores all physical attacks without effort. The terrified user questions how Dex gains such a ridiculous skill, right before Dex stabs him in return. Satan expresses admiration for his master and wonders whether Dex intends to hide, while observing stronger players. After going through the trouble of activating possession, he plans to use it fully and dominate the map. Elsewhere, Stella stands among defeated players, disappointed because they failed to meet her expectations. Bodies scatter around her as she admits that only one person remains capable of satisfying her hunger for a worthy challenge. A man lifts his bamboo spear with fierce passion and urges his followers to rise. Because the bamboo spear finally reveals its judgment, their goal involves removing the cruel rankers who once used their immense power to crush weaker players. The entire group charges forward while shouting that one strike leads to one kill. Yet none of them leave a single scratch. He smiles because his passive skill, Volatile Presence, blocks every physical attack outside real combat. The leader registers several attacks landing at the same time and struggles to grasp how such speed exists without any skill activation. The fallen men scream and curse the game, while the bamboo spear revolutionary army collapses in total defeat. He concludes that any skilled player appearing now would only expose their lack of skill. Elsewhere, the survivor count drops below 3,000, showing 2,813 players left. He observes that initially tens of thousands vanished within an hour, but once the weak disappeared, the pace slowed. He shifts his focus toward her, but she rushes too fast and crashes into him, then falls. He denies being anything of that sort and blames the strange effect on his passive skill. She mentions she had sensed something unusual about him earlier, and his survival now confirms he isn't ordinary. He questions why he should help her. Stella is chasing her, and he has no reason to join a fight between strangers. More importantly, Stella is a ranker and a mage who can still use magic even if she cannot die without bamboo spear attacks, which makes her extremely dangerous. The mission renews inside Arcadia's shifting world. Stella demands an explanation, but he confesses he doesn't know anything except that the system instructs him to protect the girl behind him. In reality, he gets a mission which he needs to make allies to achieve his goal. Apparently, Angelina is going to be his first ally, a strange NPC whose warmth felt almost out of place. She told Angelina to look past the familiar land and focus on the endless sky, where stars and moonlight remain constant. She eventually handed that knowledge to two disciples, Stella, who channels Stardust, and Angelina, who absorbs moonlight. She predicted that whoever unites both books will cross the limits of human talent and rise as a legendary mage. Now and present, Stella demands an answer that why Dex suddenly entered to help when he acted indifferent to it moments earlier. That refusal pushes Dex to smirk and lift his weapon, promising violent action if she pushes further. Stella unleashes Chain Lightning, a spell that shoots toward Dex faster than he can reposition. The strike tears through his body and binds him in slowing effects that drag down every movement. Angelina recognizes the pattern and warns Dex from afar. The explosion hits, and the system throws a critical condition on Dex. He understands that this event enforces equal footing. She once assumed he hit elite strength, yet he collapses under basic attacks. Stella attacks her, but the system blocks her attack. Dex, who still sits on the ground, has managed to thrust his own spear first. Dex admits to himself that invincibility carried him through the moment. She cannot understand how Dex defeated the second-ranked player. Even while relying on his help, she had expected an immediate loss. Dex groans about the exhaustion in his body, likely caused by lingering debuffs. Dex brushes aside the gesture and focuses on the real issue about the reason Stella chasing her. Angelina hesitates, but offers the whole truth. Dex absorbs the explanation and asks what Angelina plans to do now. When Dex asks about her level, she reveals she sits at level 43. Dex halts for a moment, sensing an opportunity to test his plausibility skill to upgrade items. So he demands Angelina to hand over every item she owns. Angelina shows every item she owns the moment Dex demands it. He observes that her worn gear reflects long, desperate use. He raises his hand and activates Grant Plausibility. Then a beam of light descends and reshapes everything she owns. Angelina struggles to process the sudden change and slips into the new equipment with disbelief. Dex gives a clear explanation. They still fall short of elite standards, yet they are more than enough for her early advancement. She sees the name Dex and accepts, her thoughts swirling because someone legendary just linked himself to her. The idea of Dex calling her a friend feels unreal. Satan's voice comes in Dex's ears, questioning whether he truly trusts her. His concern now shifts toward controlling the narrative, deciding how the world interprets his presence, whether as a savior or a threat. His thoughts break when Angelina draws his attention to the interface. Both carry arrogant amusement the moment they spot Dex and Angelina. Angelina instinctively hides behind Dex. He informs Angelina that this is her chance to evaluate her upgraded gear. Terror rushes through her chest, but the short survivor grows impatient and launches the attack. Shield emerges the moment the blow lands. Panic threatens to break her, but she sticks to Dex's instructions. The combined impact throws both attackers backward. 2 circle spells drain half the usual mana, and higher-level sorcery becomes devastating but expensive. Magic circles appear behind her in rapid streams. The system announces the drop to exactly 1,000 survivors. She turns toward Dex, eager to confirm he witnessed everything. She registers as an ally, and his plausibility climbs to 243. The system announces that the second round approaches. She expected only top players to advance, yet numerous mid-tier and even low-tier players survived. She identifies Angelina and wonders whether luck or real power carried her forward. The spear now performs both magical and physical attacks, and absolute defenses or skills that ignore physical damage lose effectiveness. Dex absorbs the changes with mild disbelief. When Goblin clarifies new rule, confusion spreads among participants because many never imagined such skills existed in the first place. Those advantages violate the equality principle of the no bamboozle format. No tools, no items, no extras, pure skill and the bamboo spear. Poisonous gas will begin closing in from the map's outer edge, shrinking the battlefield at the speed of a sprinting human. At headquarters, Quan decides to interfere with system, but Alice rejects the patch as insufficient and threatens penalties for misuse. Kang warns because CEO specifically ordered them to avoid penalties, but Quan accepts every responsibility. To him, Dex stands at the center of multiple problems, from the bloodsucker auction to the unexpected tournament outcomes. Inside the game, Dex informs Angelina that they must go on different paths from here on until round 3. Dex corrects the misunderstanding that he created those items specifically to help her. He softens his tone and admits he had been joking earlier. His strategy requires movement she cannot follow safely. After they part, Angelina reviews everything she knows about his passive skills. Elsewhere, Dex activates Possession and summons a Zacker, the Poisonous Emperor. Master-level Poison Resistance, rank to Poison Armor, Master-level Poison Affinity, and Blood Poison Generation. He brushes her complaint aside because he needs underworld beings to tackle his current problem. Dex clarifies his reasoning that the rules instruct all players to move inward. However, it seems that the movement toward the center grants advantages. Dex already accumulated enough kills in round 1, and the updated spear mechanics guarantee unavoidable damage during direct fights. The system issues a warning as deadly poison coats his body. He activates Poison Resistance, Poison Armor, and Blood Poison Generation. Participants unleash bursts of skills, each clash louder than the last. Now that weaker players have vanished, the arena finally displays the skill level she expected from a real tournament. She executes the wild dance of blades, carving through them with lethal rhythm. He suspects she carries a hidden class, but no one receives an answer. She has unleashed her best skills, yet Dex still refuses to appear. Only 2 survivors remain, Causilas and Dex. One defeated user struggles to lift his head, muttering disbelief about 8 concept attacks and hidden combos that should not exist in a tournament promising equal conditions. 3 minutes to wipe out this wave feels slow to her. Every match follows the same dull rhythm, offering nothing that pushes her limits. But she intends to defeat Dex. She kept playing even as the graphics aged, the community vanished, and the controls demanded inhuman precision. She protected her top rank with fierce pride until Dex arrived. He grasped the system more completely than she ever had. Her hidden fighter class resurrects the same combat freedom she once mastered. The class almost feels made for her. Surviving 30 minutes at that tier should be impossible when items are disabled, and the player lacks combat resistance skills entirely. The game's code simply does not contain a skill capable of enduring such poison. He opens Alice, the admin system, and forces the poison to its absolute limits. He, however, gets a warnings trigger, marking this as unfair targeting. He refuses to let one user ridicule the work his team built. The poison has strengthened again, and all resistance skills now fail. Satan reacts with alarm, insisting even Poison King Azaker would collapse under such levels. He immediately recognizes Causilas from his system screen. Right then, Satan questions whether direct combat suits his usual methods and eagerly offers the Possession skill. Then he activates Possession and summons Weapon Master Calypso, King of 10,000 Soldiers, a weapon that shapes itself into whatever he needs. Michael glows with pride, claiming even the weapon's original master lacked this incredible ability. Next moment, he uses his skill to find his opponent. Dex mocks him having old grudge while claiming to know her hidden class inside out. He studies the fluidity of her transitions, acknowledging the skill that once ruled Ikaros. In that instant, she understands that he recreated her style deliberately by a regular combo attack. Cage's lunges again, forcing her body forward with everything she has. but frustration keeps rising. She grits her teeth at unfairness of the situation. She answers through grit alone, admitting the skill he commands. She recognizes how fortunate he is to obtain something so rare. But he responds that fortune becomes a skill. She knows that she can't pierce his defenses with bamboo. So she switches strategies and draws a hidden sword. The blade radiates a presence far beyond standard gear, forcing him to reassess everything. A system alert confirms lethal damage with multiple fractures, blood loss, paralysis. His familiar's rushes are taken back to see his condition. She notes it will block exactly one attack and concludes he has accepted defeat. Before she strikes again, a notification interrupts that Calypso demands contact. He sensed something wrong from the start and Michael confirms it. A companion necklace should have accompanied it, granting new skills as the inheritor grew. Yet no trace exists in the game, because she inherited the same heavenly power he borrows. He demands the source of the sword. However, she reluctantly explains receiving it from a strange NPC after a peculiar quest. The pawn shop owner lacked appraisal skills and recommended buying an expensive scroll. More warnings appear as Calypso demands full possession of his body. It's normally impossible without crushing plausibility charges. Kasia steps back as his presence transforms completely. His consciousness slips into spectator mode while Calypso takes full control. Casillas falters under the force of the rebuke until the arena fills with orbiting weapons, summoned by Calypso's will. Next moment, a system alerts her that she reaches her fatigue limit. Next moment, her blade resonates with the awakened energy. Quick Draw activates in an instant as he closes the distance. Casillas can barely breathe before realizing Calypso knows the true hidden name of her skill. At its summit stood the king of 10,000 soldiers. She possessed the potential to reach the ultimate skill. Yet, she discarded her inheritance for 15 bronze coins. She demands to know who truly controls his body. Aware of her skills, Calypso feels his sword respond to him. He never had enough time to choose a proper successor. He looks at Casillas' sword and knows its true power is hidden beneath its dull surface. He senses that destiny brings this pair together. That the sword and its new owner may be the only chance for both of them. Hidden powers unlock, and the sword rises from magic to unique grade. A new quest appears asking her to find the lost necklace. She understands the reason behind her hidden fighter class. Calypso, the all-weapon master, has intervened, using the last of his plausibility reserves to make this moment happen. Control returns to Dex, who understands that the master spent all remaining reserves, overwhelmed by the revelation and the toll of battle. He explains that anyone could recognize it triggered a hidden quest, yet she sold it along with other junk while keeping the sword. She explains that in her version of Icarus, quests like this did not exist. He explains it as a form of possession, a hidden skill similar to her fighter class. He moves to finish their match, pointing his bamboo spear toward her. She laughs, bitterly, noting the fight cannot continue. He sits beside her, disappointed that their duel ends this way. The system declares Dex the last player standing, winner of the No Bamboozle tournament. Players like Stella and the Bamboo Spear Revolutionary Army fought with skill and determination. His skills and reputation make his win believable. Watching the livestream, Black Flame Dragon recalls facing Dex and feels shocked at his skill. With a dramatic gesture, a mysterious box appears with her mystical power. Blade Crocodile Armor, Tears of a Mermaid, Aramcha's Arm Guard, the Imperial Magic Sword, and other unique items. Even 10,000 plausibility points would feel too much for any of them. She confirms this and asks if he has decided. Her confidence crumbles when she sees his selection. Any item once belonging to an eliminated player is valid. She wonders what Dex could have requested to cause such a reaction. A wide grin as he feels the success of his plan settling into reality. Despite packed schedules, the team gathers immediately, aware that something has gone catastrophically wrong during the tournament's reward distribution. Monitoring data shows the winning player claimed an item entirely outside expectations. Shock ripples across the room as employees struggle to comprehend how this item could exist. As a tournament reward, the logic fails to compute, confirming the reason Quan personally intervened. The weapon functions against high-level raid bosses and even targets flagged as undetectable by the game system. Ken confirms the assessment, his expression grim. If the player strikes any attackable target, especially major NPCs like Galadriel, the severe Dragon Lord, the target would die instantly, regardless of story importance or power level. That's why she contacts Alice through the system interface. Mion requests authority to adjust the tournament reward items. The oversight system confirms all evidence. Mun turns Talon with barely restrained fury, questioning how the situation escalated beyond authorized limits. Satan explains that usage in the tournament dimension differs entirely from the open game world, with plausibility enhancements amplifying every strike. Michael confirms the spear's immense plausibility. capable of shaking a continent with a single blow. She explains the need to discuss the spear, emphasizing that the item represents a special case never intended for tournament rewards. He interprets her words plainly that she intends to revise or confiscate his reward. Alenia clarifies that they seek his consent for fairness, not punishment, and offers 3 options: limit uses, restrict targets, or withdraw the spear entirely with compensatory items. Alenia explains that the AI-controlled reward system calculates values proportionate to company fault, comparable to previous tournament rewards. Dex's eyes widen in shock at the package. Pledging her name to the guarantee, he realizes he faces Moni herself, the legendary CEO who succeeded at an extraordinary young age. Alenia thanks him for his time, expressing confidence they will meet again, and winks before her avatar dissipates. The Arcadia booth attracts attendees eager to see their latest innovation, an advanced lucid dream system. However, after his experience, Dex observes with muted interest, noting the mental strain it requires and recognizing his own limits and creativity. The person was none other than Giant. A while later, Dex congratulates him on his job offer from Arcadia Korea. His friend presses whether he accepted the company's terms. Dex deflects, keeping the details secret. He received 1 million plausibility points as direct compensation, complete immunity from future malicious patches, 10,000 gold coins, and a private message from Helenia offering him to contact her whenever needed. A player sighs at how warm it is inside the game, while the outside world is having a rainy day. She appreciates Dex's intellect for choosing the bamboo spear as a reward. She taunts him for choosing money, and he argues back. Dex cursed the streaming system during tournament, which makes him noticeable. The move cost him 1,400 plausibility. He claims he doesn't care about public opinion. He admits that he is afraid because some wackos have been stalking him for years. A girl checks the faces of players to find Dex. Her companion explains that this group has been stalking Dex for a long time, as they are obsessed fans. While listening to this story, Satan understands his problem. No matter how many times he kills them, they won't stop chasing him. Satan understands his situation because he was also in the same position when he became the Lord. To tackle his problem, he crafted an item called the Deceiver Mask. Satan, clearly offended, reminds him how much effort he puts in and how many demons he kills to craft this mask. He suspects Satan is planning to take all of his plausibility for this mythical great item, so he is giving him the best item for just 100,000 plausibility. Besides, he has a 1 million plausibility one from the No Bamboozle tournament, so his only option is to use this mask. The bulky player believes that Dex can't be far away because it has only been half an hour since they received the report of him being spotted nearby. He reminds everyone of the price they paid for the tip and orders them to keep searching. Satan agrees, saying an item this expensive should live up to its cost. There are countless articles about the unique item auction and about how unemployed people are gathering in Arcadia. Then he walks past his stalkers who are looking intently at him. Satan answers that it belongs to a vampire lord he killed just because the guy pissed him off. Now he understands why he has bloodshot eyes and a pale complexion, which definitely belonged to a vampire. Satan suggests he should just change his appearance. He is taken aback when he sees it because the options are the players or NPCs he has killed. He checks the mission details in which he is required to turn this world into a colossal cauldron of chaos. He needs to make Casillas his ally for an extra mission. Later, Angelina finds him and complains that she hasn't seen him since the tournament. He explains that he is planning something against Stella, who is targeting Angelina to kill her. Angelina is just a newbie with nowhere near enough skill to fight her. He also reminds Angelina that she didn't even survive the second round of the tournament. Elsewhere, she can focus on improving her skills, so he offers her something in exchange. Dex confirms that Angelina already has decent skills, which Casillas can help her improve further while they travel. He assures her that he will work on that as well. Then Dex wraps up the matter by entrusting Angelina to her care. Casillas assures him she will make Angelina strong enough to protect herself, which brightens the girl's face. He wonders about the side quest because he hasn't made any connection with anyone in Mate PN. Now he needs to make an ally out of a complete stranger. He is told to submit some documents to a girl behind the counter. Now he understands why Baron Mail's estate has become one of the top 10 forbidden places for players. That move, he demands to see Mail immediately. She is happy to see him and expresses how worried she was when he left abruptly. However, she has come up with a few scam-like plans to at least lure beginner users. He reminds her that she might get herself killed by exploiting players like this. Besides, she has spared the estates of the late Emperor's relatives. That move, he receives 730 for gold, 30 to silver, and 21 bronze. Mail is eager to discuss several trade plans with him, including inviting higher-ranked players to her estate. She is building a trade route for higher level tools. One of the boys is crying and wondering what kind of game this is. He wants to know more about him. Watching him, Dex realizes the boy's speed is at least level 5 or higher. He wonders how the boy reached such a level. Dex offers him a friendly chat, which baffles the boy. Finally, he notices that Dex is also a player and asks for his identity. Dex reprimands him for signing such a ridiculous contract that trapped him. When Dex asks his age, the boy reveals he is only 15. Finally understanding it, she reveals that this boy carries the scent of fire. Now, Dex understands that this boy can be useful to him. Dex tells him to at least listen to the conditions first. Dex admires his determination, but he is too desperate. That move, all of the boy's contracts with the mine are terminated. He is a level 24 player with weapon production, shield production, and mining skills. The boy explains that he had a smart friend who helped him get in. That move, he announces it's time to test his skills. He proudly asks for Dex's approval of his hunting skills. He observes how terrible Height's hunting and production skills are. Why did the system choose him as his ally? She explains that the skill and talent to craft an artistic weapon is not the only quality that defines a blacksmith. That is why High-Tac possesses the blacksmith skill. She brings up the Calypso incident where power exceeded the plausibility reserves. Repeating such an incident could disrupt the heaven order. He interjects, ready to pay whatever amount of plausibility she requires since he has more than enough. He ends up paying 150,000 plausibility for this information, which the system calls the dormant secret of the past. For example, the god of justice and balance and the god of time. Michael confirms this by saying that the current empire is descended from the brigand. Who was the culprit? Not to mention heavenly power grew stronger after this incident. Now he understands that by polishing the boy's skill, he can use it for his own benefit. To solve this, Michael suggests he bring Yang Tac to the dwarves who will help him. Their conversation is interrupted by Satan, who reveals that he knows their location. They will need to ride a wyvern for 5 days until they reach a region beneath a large desert. Dex guesses that he is being pointed toward the Grand Desert Lemire, one of the 5 forbidden places because of its high death rate due to environmental debuffs. He stands in front of his guide who warns him that even his tribe living in the desert for generations hasn't ventured into Lemire. Even in his 60 years, he doesn't know anyone who has gone there and come back alive. Dex understands that he has to move forward blindly. Currently, he is wearing a looter uniform with magic grade, a qualified voyage robe, and a dagger of darkness, all rare items. Dex, nervous, tells him to assume this is his price for the time he spent in the mines. Acknowledging that it was his fault Hyung-Tak was stuck there. Hyung-Tak, however, interprets his generosity as kindness and vows to serve him for all his life. On the other hand, Hyung is dehydrated in the heat. He reminds him that this is because they are in one of the forbidden areas. Hyung-Tak still feels inferior because he has only activated his fire resistance skill to level C, which is still not enough. Dex assures him that the information is correct and encourages him to keep going. And seconds later, a couple of level 160 Lemire Desert Scorpions appear. However, due to his low contribution, he receives a penalty on his experience points. Then Dex asks about his current level, which is 72. Along the way, Yang Tac hopes for some clue about the dwarf's location as he is currently using plausibility to keep up with the possession skill. His point is that if Dex allows him to control his body, Satan will guide them to the dwarf city using the possession skill. After that, Dex ponders his offer and agrees to summon him using his possession skill. Hyung-Tak is taken aback at the dwarf's power boost. Dex tells him to shut up and lead the way already. Dex feels reluctant, but the dwarf is sure, sensing that there is the last arc he has protected all his life. Dex, however, is not happy to use his plausibility to discover a location where they are already standing. Understanding his suggestion, he immediately summons his hammer and tells his companion to stay back if he doesn't want to get swept along. Dex's eyes widen as he sees the city in front of him. Finally, he enters the Sands of Forge, the dwarf city. He also earns rewards for reporting the city to the authorities, as well as the title of Persistent Explorer. The quest requires him to build a good relationship with the dwarves. This scenario requires an ultimate conflict between elves and dwarves. The dwarves usually harbor hatred toward other races because of previous conflicts in their battles against humans and elves. Even players who choose the dwarves will find it difficult to gain their favor. The chief, however, points out that the driving force of the dwarves can help them overcome their hatred toward humans in order to achieve their goals. Hyung-Tak also receives the quest and confirms it with Dex. That's why they have remained hidden in the underground until now. Hyung questions their hatred toward humans and Dex asks him to see for himself. By summoning them, the Hammer Assault team also charges forward guided by their leader. Young TAC is hesitant to fight them for the sake of quest services. As soon as the dwarves see the hammer in his hand, they immediately recognize it as belonging to their lord, the one who died during the battle against the elves. With this, he successfully establishes trust with the dwarves and completes his quest. He also earns the title of Dwarf Pal. The dwarves are happy to see their lord's spirit, even for a moment. One of the dwarves, Bale, who was saved by Thane during the battle, requests Dex to summon him once again. Another dwarf is curious about Thane's current location and wants to know whether he is in the dwarf's heaven. Michael agrees, noting that even though the dwarves fought for a noble reason, crushing skulls is an act that doesn't qualify one for heaven. Dex, having no choice, tells the kid that Thane is in heaven. Dex nervously wonders how the boy will meet him in hell. Dex informs his subordinate that this is because the dwarves can use hammers even in their infancy. He points them toward one of the top 3 master workshops in the city, led by his father, Byron, who is a respected member of the community. He then decides to arrange a crafting competition between young TAC and his new apprentice. The dagger crafted by the dwarf is a magic grade item with 200 durability, though it lacks the ability to cause real damage. Byron is initially disappointed by Hyung Tak's craftsmanship, yet he decides to mentor him, while warning him not to hope too much. Hearing this, Dex asks him to hand over his hammer. He decides to upgrade it, but the weapon requires 350,000 plausibility at this point, because it needs extensive improvement. That move, he uses plausibility, some of which was used by the Ancient Flame. But as he advises, Hyun needs to work hard to overcome his flaws and become the greatest blacksmith, to show the world his skill as it deserves. Once again, Dex causes a great disruption in the game's main scenario. His actions trigger the activation of Act 9 Forgotten Age of the Legend, while releasing the power of Volcanus. Studying his new weapon and the specifications showing how special and powerful it is, he feels truly grateful to Dex. It means that a player's ability combined with the use of plausibility can create this kind of synergy. Michael points out that unlike other deities forgotten by a world, Volcanus is still resurrected by remembered and other races which must be giving him power. Their goal is to check that he isn't overusing their plausibility, and if he is, he should share it with them. He points out the quest he receives related to it. However, Dex warns him not to complete the quest for now as it could provoke the Sant Empire and the consequences would be unknown. Dex reveals that the weapon is useless to him, and that young High-Tak can repay him once he achieves his own goal. His mission is now complete, and he receives the sidekick rewards. The reward allows him to use the plausibility earned by his sidekicks. However, he does not yet know that they will soon become famous as the worst player in Arcadia's history. Suddenly, her eyes catch a new video about someone venturing into slime territory to hunt slimes for the first time. She has companion Bruce, who is a nervous level 130 for player. Slimes usually come in groups, and they will have to face the queen slime at the end. The area they are entering is populated by low-level slimes, level 80. In reality, Tina as a streamer is affiliated with the GM group, the same GM entertainment group involved in the Duke von Hellharn incident. The representative of the GM group contacts her beforehand and warns her that if she doesn't do damage control, they might breach their contract with her. She needs to rescue any pass or below-level player to fix her reputation as a hero. Trying to look cute, she adorably asks the person to join her group to hunt slimes. He reminds her how difficult the task is, but she assures him that both she and her companion are experts, who won't have any problems catching slimes. Both his familiars warn him that Tina seems shady, but he already knows this, which startles Michael. Not to mention, this also serves his main purpose to test the hidden potential of a mask. Upon receiving the request, seconds later, he smirks, knowing his plan has succeeded. Near slime territory, both Bruce and Tina talk about their skills and praising each other's. When Tina praises him, he humbly states his goal to become stronger than Dex, who defeated the Black Flame Dragon. Tina turns to him and apologizes for making him feel left out. He is displayed as a level 50 to warrior class. This makes her assume he has never hunted slimes before, as slimes are level 80. A while later, they spot the slimes, which are numerous in numbers. Bruce points out that they are outnumbered, but Tina doesn't listen to any excuses. Regardless, both Bruce and Tina take their positions to face the slimes. Usually, he is either fighting against them or tricking them. He also notices the slimes are getting stronger from level 80 to the late 9s. Tina, seeing a chance to become a savior, immediately activates her Fire Burster skill, killing multiple slimes. The comments now start appreciating Bruce and Tina for fighting against the slimes and protecting a newbie. Tina is quite happy with the swarm of comments. Satan clarifies their real intention and even points out that they intentionally directed the slimes toward him so that they could play the savior of a low-level player. Instead, Dex finally reveals his intentions to them because by taking advantage of the situation, he is turning the tide in his favor. People comment on the hunt, which proves that the high-level players can stand against slimes. She explains that it's because he didn't level up after the hunt. He excuses it by saying he recently leveled up. She cannot yet explain, so he clarifies that as a streamer, hunting slimes can bore the audience, so they should face higher-level monsters like intervening in orc territory. Besides, they are already getting decent views from the slime hunt. He turns his back, declaring that he will go there on his own, officially leaving their party. One of them asks curiously how he plans to face orcs at only level 52. The real work will be done by his friend. Seconds later, he activates his title as Slime Savior. As soon as he does, many slimes, including the queen, cuddle him happily. Next moment, he is terrified to see the queen's slime on the move. They are stunned to see Dex commanding the slimes and their queen. Another points out that all that is meaningless because they are about to witness the epic battle between slimes and orcs. The slimes are warned not to intrude on their territory. The slimes brutally massacre the orcs one by one. The slime queen immediately charges to counter her. Spending 3,000 plausibility, he strengthens her power. Now all her stats are boosted by 30% for the next 5 minutes. They appreciate him, expressing disbelief that the orcs are really defeated. However, as soon as the system sees the 99% swarm of slimes in the area, it notes that the territory of the Blue Thunder Orc clan has been annihilated. The slime queen hugs him happily. The slime race has achieved something no other race has before. The normal slimes upgrade to level 120, and the guardian slimes reach level 150. Dex notices that with a 4th-level upgrade, it is unlikely they could be defeated even by a decently strong player. The queen's slime also evolves after prospering her race. They are determined to stay away from the slime territory just after witnessing the queen upgrade. The roar instantly causes fear, reducing both Tina and Bruce's abilities by 30%. They now fear the queen, and their level also reduces their movement speed to 50%. Dex, who was the slime savior, now becomes the knight of slimes for providing all the help to them. Elsewhere, Satan wonders why he always invests in slimes. As usual, the internet buzzes with discussions about the incident of slimes invading orc territory. Not only that, but the slimes become so strong that if any daring high-ranking players attempt to hunt them, they are immediately eliminated. The slimes have truly transformed from some of the weakest creatures into a formidable force. Curious players naturally want to know more about Dex as their master. He now has 36.7 million subscribers with only a handful of videos. Not only this, he also receives many messages from editing companies. On the other hand, his parents are still worried about him playing games. But now that he has a mask to hide his real identity, he can easily start streaming. Dex answers that he wants to discuss the contract regarding video editing. Next day, he is at the I+ Entertainment building and is quite disappointed to see that it is a small place. Dex also expresses his inexperience with working with any editing firm, saying he chose them simply because their message was the first one in his inbox. Even so, he eagerly assures him that despite being a startup, the team is experienced in marketing and PR, and they previously worked for GM Group. After Dex's video exposing Jew was uploaded, which caused GM Group's entire team to fall apart, the marketing department was restructured. He assures Dex that he can trust his videos to them and promises they will give their best. Even if he were in Dex's place, he might not work with an unknown company. Sock explains that this is standard in contracts between clients and editing companies. He even warns that if the privacy clause is breached, he will not only break the contract, but also make them pay compensation. Inside, he is tense because Dex is not an ordinary player, but someone who destroyed GM Group. Finally, Dex trusts Sia Wook and reveals his face before signing the contract. As they watch the full video, they are shocked to realize that this place is the city of dwarves. After they finish editing, the subscribers of Dex receive a notification about a new upload from him. Then the dwarf is shown, the one who offers his craftsman's skill to Dex. Another dwarf appears who wants to hire employees because of a shortage of manpower. Then they see the flood of notifications explaining that Dex has formed an alliance with the dwarves. Consequently, there is now a possibility that humans and dwarves will be connected in the future. That is why the video receives more than 10,000 comments. After this, his small company keeps getting messages with inquiries. Dex is quite satisfied with the video editing. Dex subtly asks him to watch the video for further details. The first one was about dwarves, and this new one must hold information about an item. He decides to check it himself as he receives a cup of coffee from his employee. Finally, the video is edited and uploaded on his channel with the title, The Beginning of a Legend. Not only this, The desert Lemire also draws huge attention as many players, including large-scale guilds, flock there in hopes of finding the dwarven city. Studying her master, Michael thinks about the changes Dex has caused so far, especially how he is directing other players toward Lemire Desert to search for the dwarves. Because of this, every old quest shuts down and the system switches into a live mode that builds new missions on the spot. Therefore, a new mission forms for him. Dex's role becomes simple, but heavy. He believes the mission has updated the moment he gained the dwarf support. Before he can plan anything, Satan receives some troubling pull from the underworld. Satan looks uneasy and Michael reveals the reason without holding back. Understanding the fear since Satan once watched his plausibility drop from 1 million to only a few 100,000 in a moment, Michael takes this chance to stay close to him instead. She unloads her opinion about devils, explaining how easily they get pulled by desire and how predictable their reactions become when pushed. She is the one who sent the angels. She then makes it clear that she knows where he is heading. She lets him know she wants the item destroyed, completely reduced to dust. As they continue their journey, his mind drifts to his past contract with her. She finally admits that she is thinking about that item for years. She explains further that angels and demons chase contracts with mortals for influence and plausibility, but revenge weighs even more in this case. He agrees to her request although his real priority stays on the mission. She accepts this and does not push further. Dex feels relieved after making it through several unexpected turns. Now his plan is to possess Elven's soul. Michael works around it by bringing in someone from the mortal world, who once had strong ties with elves. She directs him toward the elven village while warning him about the forest's violent tree spirits. The creature carries an enormous level and fires a deadly beam from its eyes. The skill exposes the dryad's weak point, and he strikes straight through it. The attack demands heavy plausibility, but the power surprises him in a good way. He thanks her, but she brings up one last request. If Fail is still alive, she wants him punished in the harshest way possible. If killing feels too much, she at least wants him beaten until he feels death close. Next moment, a new quest forms as he needs to bring justice on behalf of Amelia. Michael comments that this is exactly why relationships between different races become messy. She points out that Amelia should understand this better than anyone since she was once honored with a special title among elves. The possession ends and a chunk of plausibility burns away. Elves hidden above watch everything, and they shoot an arrow which lands near his feet. A warning follows, telling him to stay still or be filled with arrows. Elves do not feel fondness toward humans just like dwarves. One steps forward and declares that he is surrounded. Their constant shifts make tracking distance impossible. He admits they are far more careful than he expected. Light spreads from the tree and reveals a breathtaking sanctuary hidden within the forest. The system announces that he has discovered an unknown region and grants him a legendary achievement. As the first human to reach the Elven Sanctuary, the discovery of this place could shock the entire continent if he reports it. Laughs, pointing out that he now understands her true request. The Queen of the Elves, Melissa, appears. The Queen approaches and questions him about his archery. Dex answers honestly, which shocks her. He senses that the Queen's presence feels less like curiosity and more like caution. She wants to know how a human learned Amelia's skills. The Queen accepts this, noting that a long time must have passed on the human side. The Queen describes her as one of the few mortals ever granted honorary elven status, but also as someone extremely unstable. The Queen even reveals that she herself suffered Amelia's jealousy, waiting 40 years after Amelia's death before she could marry Phile. Because he uses Amelia's style, the Queen assumed he might be here for revenge. She then asks why he forced his way into a forest sealed off for centuries. He takes out the document he brought and waits for her reaction. She can clearly see the dwarf craftsmanship. Dex explains to the Queen that the old war between elves and dwarves never truly ended. The Queen reads the agreement he brings. To Dex, it feels like a real peace treaty, not a shallow attempt to look good. She admits she still struggles to process the notoriously prideful dwarves would ever send such a proposal. In exchange, the dwarves requested spirit stones and fairy wing dust, but she apologizes, saying the elves cannot accept the proposal. She adds that it is not about adjusting the trade items. The system announces that negotiations with the elves have failed. Michael reminds him that she already warned him. Either succeed or accept her request. Long ago, a devastating war between angels and demons swept through Arcadia. Within its territory, no one could use attack skills and battle-related stats dropped sharply. But the war did not end easily. Its safety became the core of their existence. That is why the Queen rejected the dwarf's request. Destroy the cursed weapons stuck in the World Tree. She reminds him that the discussion is over. He leads her to the World Tree. The queen cannot guess what he intends to do. She summons a sword, a mythical celestial weapon called the Demise of Eternity. She even offers him a discount in plausibility, assuring him it is a worthy investment. A hidden quest triggers and energy begins to radiate from him. When Dex communicates with the queen, right then, the queen recognizes the sword and cannot understand how a mortal is holding something mentioned only in ancient elven legends. The queen knows this is not an ordinary acquaintance, but she remembers her own words about him earlier. He reveals that he already knows the elves' real problem is the world tree's corruption. His negotiation skill activates, and the queen's guard begins to lower. Michael points at the cursed weapon embedded deep in the trunk. Dex, however, decides to make the moment even bigger. Power gathers around him, shaking the air. Dex braces himself, ready to finish everything in one blow, so he won't waste any more plausibility. The cursed weapon senses danger instantly and triggers its own defensive skill without any command. A massive explosion shakes the area as the impact hits. He admits he thought destroying the weapon would be easy, but he didn't expect a divine item to activate skills on its own. He mutters that this game's mechanics make no sense. At that exact moment, a giant forest ogre, the Great Forest Ogre, a level 130 field boss, appears nearby. A violent blast erupts in the distance and the system announces a new horror. One archer tries firing at the creature while shouting for backup, but their skills bounce off harmlessly. Another elf reports that even their combined attacks are useless. The order to retreat immediately spreads as they fall back toward the world tree. Dex watches the chaos unfold and admits he didn't expect things to escalate this badly. Dex wants a solution, but Michael confesses even she would struggle to handle this corrupted boss. Now he wonders if they should summon Satan, hoping Satan might know how to deal with the blade. If he regains it, the chaos will be unimaginable. She proposes an idea, but Dex reacts instantly, asking if she's completely insane. King joins him, joking that it feels strange not dealing with emergencies every hour. They both appreciate that the scenario department no longer has control over Core Quest. Kang mentions a disturbance near the world tree, but says the situation is too unclear to make sense of. At first, he brushes it off, thinking it's another update about the world tree. Michael is standing in the middle of the battlefield. Dex questioned her plan, worried she might drain his plausibility. He wouldn't be able to use her, let alone activate possession skills. All she needed was his permission. He eventually agrees, warning her not to blame him. The corrupted Demon Blade warrior faces Michael, confused by the sudden presence. Viewers watching the livestream scream in disbelief that an actual angel is speaking with this level of attitude. She grips the Demise of Eternity, calling forth its true nature. A blast so intense the land shakes. The corrupted monster screams under the pressure of the attack as one heavenly skill. After another activates, Michael rises into the air using heavenly power. Dex, watching from inside spectator mode, struggles to process this as her minimum power during a possession. He decides he never wants to imagine it. The ogre collapses, leaving the Deathbringer trembling alone. She tests how long it can survive against her blade. Dex Yang watches the skill of destruction and is amazed by the battle between divine weapons. Michael gives her final thanks to Boy for allowing her to fulfill a dream she has waited on for centuries. The divine weapon of the underworld has been destroyed. The underworld's influence falls by 4.3%. Dex receives new titles inside Arcadia's shifting world. The elves' affection for Dex reaches the highest level possible. 2 more titles fall into his hands. He roars that how dare Michael destroyed his weapon without him present. He knows she spent a massive amount of plausibility. Dex wonders why she's collecting the pieces. He yells at her, demanding to know if she truly wants to wage war by destroying his divine weapon. She shows him the shattered pieces, admitting she had fun playing with them. Players demand to know the location of the elves shown on the broadcast. Employees apologize, repeating that they cannot reveal game content details. Customer service workers take notes like their lives depend on it. Players claim random spots contain elves or dwarves. She explains they had requested it, but were denied. There is no narrative justification to suddenly make elves and dwarves friendly toward humans. The point of Arcadia is infinite freedom. Elsewhere, Dex's uploaded video under the username I Love Chocolate Cake Level 50 goes viral. Seowook watches the chaos stunned that Dex hasn't leaked a single piece of divine level information. He has a headache from all the pressure and wonders if he should reach out to Dex. Just then, the devil himself calls. The CEO reassures him that his identity will remain secure. Dex listens and then asks an innocent question. Dex thinks for a moment, then he casually instructs Seowook to go ahead and reveal the location information. For him, it is far too soon to do something like this. Everyone is doing the same, creating content on the same things just to churn views. Not to mention, even if players manage to find the locations of those races. It won't be easy for them to build friendly relationships with races that have a supremacy complex. To change her perspective, he assures her that spending time with the dwarf won't make her a bad elf. When the child leaves, he reprimands the queen for raising the children with such pathetic values. Dex plainly answers that she should do what she wants. Hearing her comment makes him realize that the next step of his mission is not going to be easy, because of the different perspectives these races have. Actually, Arcadia headquarters and Agent Electronics request the university to conduct this research. Dex is the top candidate for it. The professor promises to mark him present in his lectures in exchange for his help. She confirms that the difficulty increases with every level, and now he is at level 30. It makes her certain that Dex can become a great Arcadia player. Seeing him, Satan is furious at him for falling for Michael's trick. As they continue arguing, the system startles him by informing him that the World Tree requests to communicate with him. There he hears the greeting of the World Tree spirit. She confirms it's saying this is her most popular form. She looks at him intently, but still can't figure him out his power. She can't understand how such a normal human can possess such immense power. She immediately reads his thoughts because she knows how he is assigned tasks and given possibilities as rewards. She tries to guess with her divine power. She accepts his answer and gives him a rare reward for his honesty. Then she shifts the topic, saying she hopes he will complete his mission to reconcile both the elves and the dwarves. She is taken aback because he doesn't even listen to her request. He can't add another mission, especially when he has only 100,000 plausibility left. Then she presents her request, calling him by numbers of his titles. Seconds later, his new quest, Shattered Continent, appears before him. Before the split, Arcadia is a single continent called Panga. As she explains the unified continent, she continues describing how the Holy and Demon War is the reason the continent splits. While she is in slumber, she does not hold the continent together, and the land scatters into the shape it has. His eyes widen when he realizes that according to the game's geography, he is currently playing on a server called the Second Continent. He guesses that she is basically requesting him to perform a server integration. He brushes off her question and gets to the point. Whenever he has enough power and time, he can bring the required item. At first, he cannot remember which item she is referring to. He annoyingly insists that he never agreed to her request. The quest screen is still open in front of him. Seconds later, the queen appears before him and happily informs him about the awakening of the World Tree. Then he casually asks the queen whether she happens to have a dragon heart. Elsewhere, the players are still guessing the locations of the dwarves' city and elves' village. One user posts that the village is in the Holy Empire and that the Pope himself has concealed the dwarf's location. They doubt that he is a half-dwarf because of his short height. Arcadia, however, gives the excuse that they cannot reveal the locations of the elves and dwarves' villages, because their utmost purpose is to give players a real-life experience and the thrill of adventure. Some believe it is a good strategy that they do not change anything according to the players' demands. Individual players as well as guilds follow any hint that might lead to the villages. She talks about the issue that humans will soon be at their doorstep, so they need to adopt diplomacy for the sake of Dex, who saved their world tree. They finally find someone who can give them the exact location of the dwarves' village. Ju, however, is doubtful because they have been scammed for times before. The player has relevant documents proving that he knows the exact location of the dwarves' village. Smith reveals that the player wants 100 million. After negotiating down from his original demand of 500 million, Smith consoles him, explaining that they will have the player sign a real-life contract with penalties if the information turns out to be wrong. Ju changes the topic since he is not interested in going through a stack of reports on his desk. Currently, GM Group has more than 5 million gold in Arcadia assets. He increased his net worth earned by investing manpower. Both types have their skills and advantages, ensuring that no single profession dominates the others. But still, there are some preferred professions for players while others are generally avoided. This is because it not only has weak combat skills, but explorers may also have weak non-combat skills such as detecting artifacts or disarming traps. For a level 72 explorer like Bustdown, he is often reprimanded for his choice of profession. But overall, Bustdown wants to chase the romance of adventure. All he has to do now is solve the puzzle to unlock the door. His stats are not enough to escape the trap, so he is subdued by the dwarves. Some dwarves plan to lock him underground in case he escapes and tells the location to others. Then suddenly the dwarfs' attitudes change as they notice something. As the abnormal status is lifted from Bustdown, the dwarves assume that he is none other than another dwarf. That move, he can now freely go to the city of dwarves whenever he likes. This person is the director of GM Group Yongho Lim, who comes with a tempting proposal for Seowook. And when they failed, they were the ones to blame. Lim finally reveals that GM Group offers him a merger with his company. Seowook is smart enough to understand their motives, that they want their hands on Dex's identity. Lim gathers his ego and the documents saying that many companies are digging for information, and eventually they will find out. He comments that Lim didn't even bother to check the latest video. Obviously, he doesn't know that Dex has already uploaded the map locations of the dwarves and elves villages. Elves usually accept only good-looking people, whereas dwarves accept those who are short in stature. Others show off the items they obtain, and some creates video regarding quest related to the world tree. With the discovery, people can also take advantage of the specialized skills of both races. They utilize these resources according to their own skills and business needs. Though ordinary players are not necessarily drawn to the villages, some are greedy and go there in search of valuable items. The newscaster highlights players who are complaining about the discriminations based on their look. Watching the news, Dex struggles to process that even news channels are talking about a game. To clear his doubt, he opens the Arfondia website. For example, one complains about incident which wiped out a beginner village, while another complaint describes a mine incident that treated players like slaves. Each and every incident is directly or indirectly caused by Dex. He is, however, irritated at the developer who created the Bard of Anarchy, because all he is doing until now is what the quest asks him to do to earn possibilities. Not only does the world tree awakens the spirits, but it also enhances elemental power as a result. He is now given the possibility of more than 600,000 plausibility, along with the fruit of the world tree. Then he looks at the specifics of the fruit of the world tree and wonders how he can use it. He guesses it can be an important item and thinks he will need an alchemist for this. The player thinks he looks decent, which will make the elves approve his entry into their territory. Satan rates him 4, while Michael thinks it should be 2, as Satan's standards are quite low. Satan unexpectedly admits this, saying it's because all the players in the underworld have heinous faces. Dex then asks about the dragon heart. Along with Michael, he explains the task that the world tree has given him, wondering whether he can purchase one from heaven or the underworld with his plausibility. Michael agrees, adding that even someone like them would find it difficult to hunt a dragon heart. Dex can't obtain a dragon heart from a naturally dying dragon, because they usually donate their hearts back to nature, scattering them after death. Dex feels frustrated listening to this. Still, Dex asks whether they could capture an elder dragon. For this purpose, he would need to possess Dex's body and summon a divine weapon. Satan concludes that Dex would need at least 123 million plausibility to achieve his goal. Satan reminds him that there will be repercussions in Arcadia after he kills the dragon, especially a Lord level 1. Dex agrees, acknowledging that dragons are the most powerful creatures on the continent, not to mention how rare they are. Dex reveals that they will go to the dwarves' territory next because he promised a friend he would meet there. Dex is quite excited to know that his friend is Dex. However, Dex points out that his appearance won't be approved by the elves. Instead, he will fit in with the dwarves because of how he looks. Dex reminds them that he is not a social outcast, not to mention that he has to hide his identity with a deceiver mask to avoid being killed. Dex agrees to meet him as well. Unlike their last visit, it seems that the dwarves' city has attracted many tourists. His greedy familiars, however, are interested in whether Giant can offer them any plausibility. As soon as Giant sees him coming, he becomes overly emotional and is about to shout across half the desert to call his name. Dex warns him that he can't say his name in public. He wonders what kind of skill can completely switch a character. Dex reminds him that he is entering his personal space and explains that this is the effect of an item. Elsewhere, while waiting for Dex, he had found a GM corporation also heading to the dwarf city. After the incident with Duke von Helharn, he didn't want to get involved with them ever again. He then asks his friend whether any other group is departing for the dwarf city. He pauses to think a little and decides to use his possession skill if things go south. He rushes ahead to make the reservations. Dex, however, is annoyed at his familiars for treating his friend as a tool. Later, he meets the small corporation they are going to travel with. The head is quite excited to finally find some explorers who trust their small corporation enough to hire them. Moreover, they promise to get them to the dwarves of city in 3 days. The Grand Desert Lemire is only a route to the city of dwarves, but it's not easy to travel. Not only are the hottest days and coldest nights a challenge, but there are monsters, scorpions. At level 160, a mage specializing in glacier magic to freeze the scorpions, and a warrior capable of finishing them off. Jegan panics because the death pain will be heavy if they are killed. His companion points out that they won't have enough time to gather supplies, so they must leave some behind. Apple feels petrified because he overestimated his ability to travel here. Dex is taken aback at his determination. He comments on how unprepared they came. He even warns him that he will charge the bill for his contribution afterward. Apple agrees easily, but points out that more scorpions are coming their way. Actually, they have simple patterns, making them easy to kill. Then he deactivates his possession skill, and his 28,000 plausibility is deducted. Ella's Satan of churning plausibility from Dex to restore his divine weapon. Elsewhere, Dex notices their annoyed expressions and thinks that if he records their fighting, he'll get tons of views from people interested in watching Devil and Angel fight. Dex bluntly points out their deficiency of service. Lemon also points out the remaining belongings they could have saved. He is determined to lead them to the city of dwarves. So, he accepts the deal and shakes hands to confirm it. Apple curiously notices that Dex already knows the way there. Dex brushes off the question. The players decide not to get in their way. Knowing the GM group will make sure they are never allowed into the desert again. They even comment on how Pi Corporate face scorpions on their way, while noting that Dex and his friend are real players, not NPCs. Both of Dex's familiars burn with rage at their attitude and want him to teach them a lesson. Then, Dex notices someone talking about how the Santa Forge is now dominated by merchants. In this way, players regardless of their height can gain entrance to the city whether the dwarves are friendly toward them or not. Likewise, Dex also gains entry with his companions because Pi Corporate brings plenty of liquor for the dwarves. He requests time to earn profit from his trade. Dex, however, has other intentions not related to money. What he truly wants is to face hardworking workers. First, he meets Altair, the head of the dwarves, who welcomes him back warmly. Dex takes out the treaty, confirming that Melissa, the elf queen herself, signed it and agreed to the dwarf's conditions. Dex confirms it while reminding Altair that he now needs to send envoys regularly to elf territory in order to interact and trade with them. Dex then asks him to check the treaty document as he has adjusted the elves' trade items. Dex reminds him that now with trade items agreed upon, the elves also need to be cooperated with and respectful towards them. With this, the treaty is sealed. As a result, his negotiation skill increases, earning him higher ranks. With this achievement, he earns the title of Master Negotiator. Dex hints that he is going to meet someone he considers a younger brother. He reminds him that if it's not perfect, he won't tolerate such pathetic skill any longer. In reality, the item is a finely crafted piece with an increased level. However, he is not satisfied with this weapon and decides to improve it further. Dex first checks how much his skill has improved, then examines the specifics of the weapon. His fellow dwarf apprentices move on to the next level, while he remains stuck at the first. On the other hand, Dex notices that even as a beginner-level item, the dagger is rare-ranked, an item that could be sold for millions at auction. It even points out the weak spot of a target functioning as effectively as sharp-eye skill. For an archer, to move to the next level, he needs to forge a rare or high-level dagger. Dex's familiars also notice the craftsmanship of the dagger. Not to mention, considering it is crafted with a divine weapon, its level is quite slow. Perhaps the Volcanus hammer contains some hidden information. He requests to see the hammer for a moment. He then asks Hyungtak whether he truly puts his heart into forging the weapon, or if he is just doing it to complete the assignment. Hyungtak needs to focus solely on forging the best masterpiece without distraction. Dex points out that it will take Hyungtak more than 2 days to complete his craft, so they should leave him to work alone. Hyungtak trusted him enough to come here in search of the path of a blacksmith, but Dex was the first one to believe in him and invest in him. Hyungtak is determined to repay that trust. Hyungtak finally forges the item, a weapon with the potential to shake the continent. His weapon crafting efficiency increases, reaching rank 8. Studying his screen, Hyungtak finally shouts that he did it, almost giving poor Satan a heart attack. He has finally created the Dagger of Enlightenment, a unique level weapon with a durability of 2000. Alice points out that the item meets their specific criteria and asks him to check it. He still feels the level Hyungtak reached is too fast. Jack admits that Dex has exceeded his expectations, overturning the system to this extent. Alice estimates a 92% chance of it happening within a year. Elsewhere, after Hyungtak achieving this feat, Dex gains 150,000 plausibility. Hytak is happy too, even though he still has many levels to pass according to dwarf standards. Dex hesitates to accept it because it is worth enough to buy an apartment. Finally giving in, Dex accepts the dagger, which makes him happy. So Dex says goodbye, promising to visit from time to time. On their way out, Satan points out how Dex behaved completely out of character with Hyungtak. Satan points out that he can list Dex's bad deeds anytime. But then he admits that seeing how Dex treats Hyungtak and Dex Yunyun, he knows he still has some good in him. Dex explains that it's because these people are his friends, and he likes to share something good with them. Inwardly, he realizes that exploring Arcadia is giving him insight about himself as well. Elsewhere, some people are keeping an eye on him from a hidden point. Everyone on the continent, even the NPCs, is in chaos. Because NPCs are giving out so much gold, Arcadia's economy, which used to rely on the small amount of gold players earn from quests and hunting, is completely changing. Companies like GM Corporate grow fast in Arcadia. He needs 10 short height merchants, 10 frost specialist mages, and 10 rank 9 explorers. He sees that there is now a proper system for corporate guides, unlike before. Dex apologizes casually, saying he will be hiring another corporate. Dex also notices that she is aware of him and is sure the people keeping an eye on him were hired by her. The girl reveals that her resources told her Dex exited through a passage forbidden to everyone else. This way, they won't be the only ones profiting. Elsewhere, Dex familiars are eager to offer their services to help him teach the girl a lesson. He surprises them further by declaring that he is building one himself. Pi Corporate is glad to serve him and even offers to give him a free guide. On their way back, Apple informs him that the path to the dwarves' city has become the path of gold because of the high cost of items forged by dwarves. Dex concludes that they need a lot of transport capacity to make good profits from the trade business. Just like the GM Group, Apple admits that the GM Group monopolizes trade with the dwarves, leaving others scrambling for proper transactions. Dex agrees, admitting that this is exactly why the GM Group is so arrogant. His thoughts are interrupted by a staff member who informs Apple that some people are rushing toward them at high speed. Studying them, Dex observes that they must have a reason for coming. He calmly informs Apple that these bandits are actually GM Group members who attack smaller groups. If he dies here, his death penalty will strip him of the rights to the items he owns. One employee plays innocent while lying that they are just regular bandits. Another employee readies to attack, mocking Pi Corporate as pathetic. Dex, however, turns to Apple and confirms that they won't have a chance against the GM Group. Instead of answering, he possesses Fan, the glorious knight, to fight the GM Group. The head is also burning with excitement, ready to witness his true power. That move, he deactivates his deceiver mask and finally reveals his true identity to Apple. There is a wave of murmurs in the enemy group, as they never expect to face players like Dex here. She tells them to calm down, reminding them that this time they are only facing one player, unlike in the tournament. At the same moment, their buff magic, high speed, divine blessings, and careful strike also activates. He praises their timely buff and debuff skills, but knows they won't work against Fan, who specializes in defense skills. The enemies are taken back, seeing his solid defense against their combo attacks, even the debuff skills. The leader immediately activates her Shumpo skill and sends her dagger flying toward him, activating her shadow treading skill behind him. He struggles to process her skill is powerful enough to bypass Farin's defense. She orders her subordinates to attack him with physical strikes, knowing his skills specialize in defending against magical attacks. Their attack triggers multiple buff skills, including Relentless Heart and Sacred Hymn, instantly recovering his health through instant healing. The leader, however, knows someone as powerful as Dex won't allow a retreat. Dex declares they have taken their time long enough. He activates his Divine Shield in combat mode and unleashes his blazing flames. His Ninic plausibility is deducted. Against scorpions, he spends much more plausibility. Michael explains she gives him a discount for using his power to save innocent people and deliver justice. He doesn't care about anyone profiting from trade with dwarves and elves, but he can't allow the GM Group to monopolize the entire trade. They were workplace colleagues who fell in love and married. Dex understands that they became core players simply to run their business. After thinking, he states that he will grant them exclusive rights to control the trading routes of the dwarves and elves. Not only that, he ensures the GM Group won't interfere. Apple points out that even though he is Dex, he doubts he can control the GM Group. Dex assures him that both races will no longer do business with the GM Group. Later they settle at Base Camp 1 to process their contract. Their system asks whether they agree to the contract, and warns them that it cannot be terminated without mutual consent. With a mutual nod from his partner, he finally agrees to the contract, making Dex the owner of a 50% stake in Pi Corporate. He then gives them 10,000 gold coins to expand their business as an advance payment. Dex smirks and declares that he has to get busy with his revenge plan. Seeing his dark expression, the couple realizes that they definitely don't want to make an enemy out of Dex. He thanks him for giving them the opportunity to take revenge on the GM Group. He struggles to process that profits from the wireless and electronics business have dropped to 80%. His scolding continues as he warns them to ensure GM Group becomes the leading corporation in Korea. He is satisfied with his far-sighted decision to invest in Arcadia. Later, he laughs in his office, recalling the faces of his brothers. Smith, however, ruins his mood by saying that Dex has uploaded another video against them. The video shows GM Group employees taunting Pi Corporate and demanding that they hand over their order request. Then clips show GM Group attacking them and Dex fighting for their rescue. After checking the video, Yagu is worried as he notices numerous missed calls. Smith points out the need for damage control. He proposes blaming the incompetent staff while refusing any involvement, noting that there is no direct evidence linking the executives to the incident. His staff informs him that the branch was attacked by victims and has lost 60% of its corporate capabilities. The employee adds that the trade route was also attacked, causing a loss of goods worth 2 million gold due to desert scorpions. With no other choice, he demands that they gather all contracts with the dwarves at any price to prevent any other corporation from doing business. The dwarves refuse to do business with GM Group. She admits that she used to think the same way Ju does, but in reality, they have already lost. The National Tax Service discovers evidence of illegal activities and tax evasion, and the company is now under full inspection. Yagu, sitting in his office, knows he is doomed. He even mentions that not only is Dex the talk of the town these days, but his own imps are inspired by him, too. Satan proudly declares that he gives lectures to his minions about Dex's daily life, so they can learn from it. Obviously, Dex doesn't consider himself evil enough to teach Satan's underlings. His protest is cut short by Michael, who hits his head for provoking Dex toward the wrong path. Their bickering starts again, while Dex simply enjoys the journey. However, the driver warns him to be careful as he is heading into one of the most dangerous places on the continent. But Dex needs to pass through this place for his next quest. His system warns him to beware of the area since it is completely lawless. He confirms with Satan whether this is the only path to cross the continent. Satan is not sure himself because he gets this information from a devil who came here years ago. Then, Dex hears people talking. The boy, Hans, tells him that nowadays a war is going on between the factions. When Dex pulls off his hood, Hans realizes that he really is a foreigner. Then Dex explains his purpose for coming here, that he needs to cross the continent. First, there is the danger of pirates roaming around. Only one person in Caribbean history has ever come back alive from the ocean. When Dex asks who it is, Hans answers that the person is the pirate king, Carlos. Hans warns him that even if he finds the dungeon, it's unlikely he'll get Carlos to meet him. Carlos only meets someone who matches his standards. Dex immediately understands that he needs to take the persona of some notorious personality to meet Carlos's expectations. As soon as he activates the title, his aura turns deadly. Once Pirate King Carlos is known as the formidable ruler of the continent, someone no one dares to oppose. One day, the captain of the Redbeards, Abel, makes a deal with Sparrow, who is Carlos's eternal henchman. Then Sparrow stabs Carlos in the back. Hans finishes his story by saying that from that day onward, the two groups constantly fight each other, staining the Caribbean with blood. Coming to the point, Dex asks whether he is eligible to meet Carlos. Their next problem is to find the cell that holds Carlos. John asks them to shut up, knowing they are just eager to get plausibility. He thinks again about his goal to cross an ocean. He then smiles heavily, imagining everything he can do once he eliminates the bosses. Now he takes his next step as he already knows everything he needs to know. Dex, elsewhere, checks the skill of his possessed spirit, which is hiding and transporting through the shadows. Dex realizes that his passive skills like Infinite Macabre and Shadow Frenzy are activated, which is what's creating the fear in Hans. As usual, Alice immediately catches the unusual activity around Carlos. Because of his actions, several side quests related to Carlos are deleted. In its place, she activates Act 3 New Continent. Kan continues explaining that Arcadia is basically divided into 8 continents. The Korean server is in charge of the second continent. These servers are controlled by their respective countries and entirely separated from one another. The answer lies in the Caribbean, which has a quest that allows players to cross into another continent. Kan continues explaining about Carlos, who is assigned this task of moving to another continent. However, he adds that the Korean server already has a player who can meet this standard. In other words, Dex will soon connect the continents. He checks the guards who are leveled to 100. Inside, Carlos is sitting in his cell. When the meal is served to him, he is quite angry to see such a pathetic excuse for food. Dex, already inside the cell, hears his declaration and smirks. He looks at the moving shadow, confused. With his aura, Carlos's passive skills, the divinity of the Absolute and Villain's Pride are neutralized, and contempt for the weak is deactivated. A chill runs through Carlos's body as he senses Dex's overwhelming power. Carlos's sins react to Dex's presence, and the prisoner finally accepts that a genuine devil stands inside his cell. That recognition satisfies the hidden requirement causing Dex's mission to update immediately. Dex asks what Carlos desires badly enough to bargain with something he believes is demonic. To remove every doubt, Dex activates Infinite Macabre and Shadow Frenzy, flooding the cell with controlled terror. Carlos finally admits that he wants revenge against every person who betrayed and imprisoned him. Dex almost laughs because vengeance against a few traitors sounds painfully small beside the power now available. The prisoner asks whether such revenge is truly possible, expecting another cruel deception. Dex assures him that destroying those enemies would be effortless once Carlos accepts the arrangement. Naturally, Carlos assumes the price must be his soul. Satan likes that possibility, but Dex dismisses it before the devil can turn the negotiation into a feast. Dex does not want Carlos's soul, treasure, title, or remaining influence. He wants the imprisoned navigator to carry him safely across the infinite ocean. Carlos studies him, then understands that this supposed devil is targeting the unexplored continent beyond the known servers. Revenge gives Carlos a reason to live, while the voyage gives Dex a path no ordinary player can open. Dex steps toward the infinite ocean, certain that no system, empire, or continent could dictate the limits of his freedom.